Hello.
Grand Rising, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Cleopatra, Sophia the Bodhi.
You got it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if I get butterflies. Like I don't know
You
what
got it. You got it though.
after it took what, a few months?
Well, I changed my name. It's always hard. Chief is so much easier than Cleopatra.
The thing
It
is it's the
is.
the Bodhi is what, like,
Oh
that's what
yeah.
trips me up, but then that's what trips me up with the Cleopatra. Like it's I don't know,
It
it's
doesn't go together. That's why these are words that have never been spoken together in
it's
all
like
of
a
human
it's like a
history.
rhyme twister.
hmm Well, this is blind topic. I I knew it was something, and this is not even what I wrote down, but I was like, dang, we have to talk about the calendar. We haven't even talked about the technology in quite a while. So um we need a update on what's going on with this because it's really fascinating.
Yeah, I can imagine for sure. And um it's yeah, it's gonna be because um like right now what's happening is there's so much there's so much work that humanity is having to do in such a short amount of time
Right,
in order to cleanse it and prepare it for the calendar, like for there to be faith surrounding the calendar. Because like if the intensity of this reality wasn't intensifying, then why would people follow the calendar? Why would people
right,
embrace a new technology? Why would they care? They wouldn't care because and this is kind of like what used to happen in the past where before cars were invented, everyone was like a horse. Horse is the easiest thing. Why
right,
would you try this new technology? Why would you and with the digital age of the internet, the I think the New York Times was well known for having published some article talking about that, like the internet's going to go nowhere and how
right,
it's not, like it's just basically just a fad. And look
right,
where the internet is now. So with the now the reason that there were these adoptions is because it was so blatantly superior to whatever technology was at its time available, that obviously it overtook it.
right,
And so I think that's something similar in terms of what's happening now is people are, as they would say, discombobulated when it comes to the past calendar that they've been following. And this new technology is going to be so much more empowering and impactful to their lives that it's a no-brainer.
right,
And
right.
but in order for that to happen, it has to get crazy enough for people to believe that there could be another technology, that there is something as possible um, as this calendar. Because right now, like people are just kind of all over the place, and it's very interesting too with the whole Christmas thing. There's like a few. It's not a lot of people, which is interesting, but there's a few that are really trying hard to tell everyone, "Hey, I'm not celebrating Christmas. Hey, I don't believe in Santa. Hey, this, hey, that." And it's like, okay, like it's like I don't know if you've seen that meme where the people are like huddled in a group and someone is out of
Yes,
the group
I knew
saying
what I
like,
was
and
thinking.
then like they like put the thumbs up like, okay,
Right,
cool, like
right.
congrats, like nobody cares.
I commented on one of those things. I was like, Saint Nicholas is right there. What is like it's right. People are still liking that comment. Like
Yeah,
days after
yeah.
I've said it. Like Saint Nicholas is right there. Like why are you
And
like
it's funny
Santa
because
and
people,
Saint Nicholas?
they just
What?
saw the picture. They just saw the picture and instantly they felt it. They didn't need an explanation. It
Right.
was like because when people think of Santa, at least in the Americanized version, they think of just, some capitalist created uh thing, and they don't realize that there is actually a religious meaning behind it, and it's the ones who believe this, I noticed, are either Muslim or
Right.
they're like the hyper spiritualists that basically become like atheists almost.
Right, right. They don't believe in anything. And don't tell them that like what even does it mean to be a saint? Did you ever look Saint Nicholas up? Oh, well that's not the real Christians. Like this is anything that's tied to orthodoxy immediately goes into,
Mm.
oh, that's not the real Christians. Those are the made up Christians. Like what do you mean the made up Christians? Like what does that even mean? Christianity is a created religion. So yes, all Christianity is made up. Like I don't understand what you're even like. The people don't even. Okay, so let's go back a little bit before I go down on this tangent. Pantone. Have you ever heard of them before? Pantone.
Just the hair brand.
Okay, no, this is a different one. This Pantone is a organization that picks out a color of the year. They've been doing this every year since 99 or 2000, something like that. It's been um a little over 20 years that they've been doing this color of the year. Maybe it was 2005 because it was this whatever year the Devil Wears Prada comes out. That was the first year that they picked the color of the year. So over on TikTok, um, there's apparently there's people who study color, which just let me like for a minute, like color magic is part of sexual magic. I talked a long time ago about Pascal Beverly Randolph, who is the esoteric godfather, who is literally the esoteric godfather of modern esotericism. And that whore Blavatsky stole all of his work because PBR wanted to give it away for free, and Blavatsky wanted to put up a toll booth. And so basically, they drove him mad with black magic. And he killed himself when he was 49. This was in 1875. Excuse me. But before he died, he had like written a lot of books, but his first library of his research and stuff burned down. That was the one in New York. And then he moved to Toledo, Ohio, and all his work, quote unquote, mysteriously disappeared. So the book that we do have by him is literally called Sexual Magic. And one of the factors is you can create a color based on your astrology, which I developed my own process to do that is a little bit more detailed than what he did because now we have access to more technology as it relates to the celestial placements. So mine is like it goes along with like my astrotarography and my tree of life stuff. I adapted his process to the new information that we have now. So basically, I've been doing this for the last I did this for 2024. I mean for 20 yeah, I did this for 2024 once I discovered his book and whatever. I deciphered the color of the year based on the astrological placements, okay? So, I had no idea that there was an organization and this is one of those non-for-profit organizations or something like that they literally pick a color of the year, and when they pick their colors of the year, it's based on this. What they say is based on. They say it's based on the culture, what's going on, um, how things are happening out there in the world from these other people who research color. Now, I was like shocked to find this out because when we started looking into PBR, it didn't look like anybody was doing this color magic. Like we looked into this very, very heavily, and we did not see any of this. Like none of this. So all of a sudden, like today, this Pantone color of the year thing comes across my friend's For You page and she sends it to me and she's like, remember we did the research on this? Like, we did you know that they did this? And I was like, I had no idea. So the color of the year for 2025 was a mocha color. It was a brown color. Okay. And I said that makes sense because You had what, Not Like Us, basically like taking over the country, and this is a whole thing with Kendrick Lamar and all of that. So that makes sense based on what was going out there on, in society. So they announced the color of the year for 2026. And the color of the year is called Cloud Walker. And it is a basically a white color. And the black colorists out there are like, they think they're being gaslit, because they're like, well, why are they making it white? Look at what's going on in society. And is this a dog whistle for white supremacy? And all of this nuts, like just insane. How do you even come to these conclusions? But when she said the color to me, I was like, Cloud Walker. That sounds like one of my things for the Mayan calendar. So the closest thing they have to that, now mind you, just to go back over the Mayan calendar for a minute, or the Zolkin cycle, I had to reorganize a lot of the information, because the way that it was being presented, I realized today that this is a cryptology code, and the way that the cryptology code was being presented, it had things wrong. And because people didn't look at it as a cryptology code, they were just repeating it. And it's not that it doesn't work like when you just repeat it, but it's more in depth when you look at it as a code. So one of the things I had to change was the order of colors, because their order of colors was red, white, blue, and yellow. But it can't be that order, for a number of reasons. I just reordered it to red, blue, white, and yellow. And if you've seen my Motherland America flag, it has to deal with the color. It has to deal with the way that the colors were added to the flag, and just the way the colors were added to the American flag. It has a lot to do with that. So, which is like a huge esoteric conversation. I'm not trying to go into detail about all of that because it's a lot. But anyway, the closest one that it's related to is called the White Storm. That's what I renamed it to. The Mayans have it named as the Blue Storm, but I renamed it to the White Storm. And so the white storm is the 19th solar seal. Listen to this. Now, I did not make this up. Like, again, I didn't look at what this meant when I looked at my list and said, oh, it's the cloud walker. That has to be the white storm. Okay, the white storm is the 19th solar seal. This is related to I'm just gonna read this. It's related to a Erkadeshi, which is a watcher. Well, Erkadeshi is a not a fallen watcher, but an upright watcher, one that did not incarnate. Okay. And so Adahiel is called the time of God, and it's the calendar. And it's Adahiel's the repentance for the love of the world, body of the law of God, guardian of those treated with inequality, elder of those joined with the Erkadeshi, master of family ties and bonding, teacher of loyalty and remembrance, enemy and accuser of the celebrations of pagans, herald of the obedience to the law. That's the meaning of the color they picked for 2026. That is incredible. So the ground is being laid. So this company, or this organization, Pantone, they partner with all kinds of companies to push this color to the masses. They have a partnership with Play-Doh. They have a partnership with like a bunch of different major companies to create this color, things in color that is going to remind people to connect to the calendar. So the ground is literally being laid for people everywhere to be naturally reconnected to the calendar. Now, we looked at this the negative way at first, but I remember what you said and was like, no, we have to look at this in a positive way, because now we are of the belief, my friend and I, we're of the belief that the reason why we allowed people to come to this land is because over in Europe and Asia and all of that stuff, people were just fighting and killing and bloodshed, and it was horrible. Like, there just wasn't like there was no end to the bloodshed. So we believe that we allow people onto this land so we could rehabilitate them. Because the first people who came to this land, knowingly that we know came, um, were um, they were the Protestants that came from the Church of England, the Quakers. There we go, the Quakers, and they were the ones who the Church of England basically labeled as insurrectionists to their religious empire because they wouldn't bow down to the king or the queen of England as the pope of the Anglican Church. So when those people came here, we found them to be righteous and we let them stay on this land. That's what the whole Thanksgiving myth is about, right? Now it's not a myth, but that's what the whole Thanksgiving story is about. The whole the mythology of it all. And so we also realize that we are the ones who have to be doing the vetting. Like the reason why, like right now, you have white America basically standing up and saying these people who hate this country have to go is because they were never supposed to be doing the vetting. It took all of this time for them to realize they had made a mistake. Whereas when we realized, like, there were bad actors coming in here, they had already suppressed us. So basically, like if you look at just how the history in general went, like by the time people, I call them the Goldilocks Americans, right? By the time the Goldilocks Americans started coming over here through Ellis Island, they had already turned the native black people into the enemy of the land. Through all the various things that they did, and also started erasing our history so that it seemed like, again, we came over here from Africa when we was already here. And so that's how they were able to bring in all these Goldilocks Americans who literally never loved this country. And they were the Trojan horse for trying to bring in the quote unquote the rest of the world. But not because there were no ghettos before those people came in the 1930s. There were no ghettos. We didn't have that kind of stuff here. That's how that was always a European thing. And they bought that whole everybody living on top of each other and all of that stuff. That wasn't an American thing. We didn't do that in America. Not in Northern America. I know they do it a little bit like in South America, whatever, but we didn't do that here, at least. People didn't live on top of each other. We didn't engage in that kind of behavior. People were spread out. This land is huge. People were spread out. And so when they bought all these people here, they bought that, we call it a god, obviously, but they bought that energy from Europe here. And now you have these people who came here like that, right, and have mixed in with the regular population and the natives and everybody else. And so when they saw people hurting in the third world, they said, what? Well, we came here and got rehabilitated. So that means we can bring them here and they'll get rehabilitated. But that's not what happened. They brought those people here, like, especially, the Somalians, the Africans in general, like, they brought those people, and Haitians, they brought those people here and they thought they were going to assimilate, but that's not what happened. They brought their weird God with them, and their weird God decided, hey, we should just take over the land. And so that didn't work. Now you had black people saying, hey, those people are not like us. We should not be bringing those people here because they're very different from we are. It's not like you didn't have black people saying this, but because the black culture has been co-opted by these Divine Nine organizations, these gatekeepers, they okayed it. They said, yeah, see, we're from Africa, they're from Africa. We don't even look like these people, but we're from Africa, they're from Africa. We're all the same. Look at our skin tone, the quote unquote black and brown coalition, that nonsense. Like they just gaslit like black America by saying these people were like us. Meanwhile, as soon as these Africans get here, the first thing they do is attack black people, saying, oh, we're lazy because we don't work like them, or we're stupid because we want to be honest. Like most of these people are grifters and thieves and liars, and black Americans really not like that. Like if you, my friend told me a story about how she saw a TikTok and it was an Indian man, a child, young person coming here from India, and his mother told him that if he got in trouble in America, to go and find a black woman, specifically go find a black woman and she will help you. Like, why they're telling their people that before they come here? Why would they do that? Well, they know a black woman is not going to just see an injustice and ignore it. Like, except for these demonic nine women, I mean, divine nine women, they do. But a regular, non affiliated black woman is going to see a child suffering and do something about it. That's just how we are. We operate like that. So we're the ones, black people in America, who should be vetting these people to see if um they have the capacity to um uh merge with the culture that is American culture. And so you see like bits of that, like becoming aware. But that begs the question, why? Like, why would that be? So to tie this into the calendar has 13 tones and 20 solar seals. When you look at the Mayan Zolkin calendar in pictorial form, the way that they typically show it is they show it as a galactic butterfly. And so if you look at the calendar and you see a butterfly, because it's got basically matching things on the side and it's got a column that goes down the middle, that would be the body of the butterfly, and then you see the wings, right? But that is if you look at it 20, all the 20 solar seals down and 13 rows across. But what I did was, because that doesn't make sense, because the days are broke down into groups of 13, not into groups of 20. So what I did is I redid the calendar and I rearranged it into 13 rows down and 20 rows across. Now you can't see it by just turning the thing on the side, because that's it don't look right because of um the tones across the top are not 1 through 13. It's, or when it comes, it's just, it don't look the same. It's, you're not going to get what I'm talking about if you just do it like that. Let me put it this way. What I did was I literally redrew it with 13 rows from top to bottom, 1 through 13, and then 20 rows across, because it's a total of 260 days in the Zolkin cycle. And so there are 5 castles, okay? And the castles are basically groups. And so there's the red. Now I retitled these because the directions that I have are not in the same order as the way they have, okay? So again, if you're a purist and you're listening to this at some other time, understand that I reorganize it around my cosmology. So it's not going to match whatever your elders say, okay? So we have the red southern castle of turning, and that's the court of birth, which is initiate seed. We have the white western castle of crossing, and that's the court of death, which refines the warrior. We have the blue northern castle of burning, and that's the court of magic, which is to transform star. We have the yellow eastern castle of giving, and that's the court of intelligence, which is ripened sun. Then we have the green living castle of enchantment, and that's the court of the matrix, which is to synchronize the human. So the way that you get 52, because it's 52 kin, which is the name of each day basically, and the mantra that goes with each day, you have 52 kin in each castle, right? And so when you do it the way that I said, which is 13 rows down and 20 rows across, then you get every fourth row, 4 rows together is a castle. You can't see it like that when you have it 20 down and 13 across. Hopefully that what I'm saying makes sense. You can only see it this way when you have it 13 down and 20 across. So the first castle, the red southern castle of turning, that synchronizes with the red bird of the south, which is on my not mine, but this is related to the um Chinese the lunar mansions and also the animal years and the zodiac and all of that. So red southern castle of turning, red bird of the south, white western castle of crossing, white tiger of the west, blue northern castle of burning. This is the one that's different. On my other chart, it's the black tortoise of the north. So the north is related to black, but in the Mayan, they have it related to blue. And that ties in because if you know anything about the Indian pantheon, all of the characters that were blue were really black. So they talk about Rama was blue, but he was really black. Or they have the Callie is blue, but that means she's really black. Like all the characters that were black were drawn as blue. And I think that has to do with the fact that there's a certain color blue that is only found on this land. I had done some research into that. I can't remember that. But then the last one is usually the blue dragon of the east, but on the Mayan, it's the yellow eastern castle. And yellow is what how they always describe people from like China. They say that the yellow man or whatever, not being racist, but they have yellow undertones in their skin. So that's when I was like, oh, there this is talking about that land. So all of these things relate to different lands. So the red southern castle of turning is like South America. The white western castle of crossing is Europe. The blue northern castle of burning is North America. And the yellow eastern castle of giving is um Asia. And so the green matrix castle of enchantment doesn't have a solid location because the matrix it's like in general the matrix is layered on top of the rest of the system. It's literally like the map. It's literally like the um it's what hold everything together. And so that's how I interpret this. Eventually I'm going to go down and break out everybody's thing that they can do, but because the blue northern castle of burning has to deal with me and my lineage, my heritage, I started with that one. Plus it's in the middle. So in the middle of this whole chart, you have 10, 20 total galactic portal days, 10 days of light, 10 days of darkness. And in the middle of that, you have the mystic column, which is 20 days. So in the blue northern castle of burning, you contain all of these days, the 10 days of light, the 10 days of darkness, and the 20 days because it's 52 altogether. That's almost 52 right there. Like the 20-day mystic column. And so that led me to like understand that magic, because these portal days, when we did them earlier this year over the summer, I think that was in July when this 10 days of light, 10 days of darkness. It started in the beginning of July, sometime around the beginning of July, and it went all the way through like August the 18th or something like that. Because, well, it wasn't August the 18th. It went through the 18 degrees of Leo, and 18 degrees of Leo is a world point. And I think that was like the last day, or it was covered. So the point I was going to make about that is that those particular portals were heavy energetic days. That mystic column was so energetically draining that every day my friend and I were like, oh my gosh, is this column almost over? Like this is like the craziest like experience ever. So what I did on those 20 days is each of the 20, they're called solar seals, the ones that's in a group of 20, each of the 20 solar seals has an entity that's assigned to it, that has a name. So I went through each day and just read a name, read about the entity, and then again I observe. I was just looking for how it showed up, and I could see that energy extremely prevalent. And it's almost like that energy is like the core energy. Like um it is the main way the energy expresses. So it was very, very energetically difficult to get through those 40 days. And now I understand, because that's the energy that we're the ones who are native to this land, this America, is like energetically tied to. And so when I redid the calendar into this 13 rows by 20 rows, I could like see why those energetic days, because there's galactic portal days through the whole time, like, and the whole green matrix is all basically galactic portal days. That would be the last 52 days of the cycle. So from day 209 through 260, basically that's a whole like galactic portal in and of itself, essentially. So I say all that to say, oh, that makes sense. So so then I talked about the 13. Let me talk about the 20. So there's 20 wave spells. Now, the wave spell is one group of 13 days. And so when I was getting ready to work on the next wave spell, because right now we're in the wave spell that's called the Red Dragon. So I was getting ready to work on the next wave spell because each wave spell is 13 days. Each wave spell is 13 days. And so if each wave spell is 13 days, then that's how I'm making my videos. I'm putting together the information based on that next set of 13 days. So I'm going to make videos for the entire 260 days. And so if you want to see them, you can go over to my channel and you'll see every day at 1 a.m. Eastern, a video comes out that is the extended video for the day, because I have people who watch my channel in Europe. So I try to accommodate them, because in London, if I put it out at 6 a.m., which is when I normally do my videos, it's already the afternoon for them. So I put it out at 1 a.m. so they could see it kind of early in the day for them. So every day at 1 a.m. a video comes out for the day, and it tells you I'm not even editorializing right now. I'm just reading my notes and not adding too much to it. And then I'm also doing a reflection the next day for the previous energy day to see how the energy showed up. Again, I'm not going back and re-listening to the video. I'm just doing a general reflection on what happened to me that day. Like a little mini vlog about what happened. Like, not even like trying to line it up, synchronize it up, whatever. Just whatever came up the previous day. I remember the day goes from dawn to dawn. So I'm just really just going over that. So I went to work on the next wave spell. This is what I was trying to make. I went to work on the next wave spell, and I thought it was going to be the blue wind, because that is the next solar seal. But the wave spells don't go in order like the seals. And so that's when I realized this was a 3D model, and it's spinning, because after the red dragon, it goes to the blue wizard. The blue wizard is number 14. So it's not, it's spinning. Like, it's literally spinning. So I haven't made the 3D model yet, but this order means something. So this is another cryptology code that I'm going to be working on trying to work out. So instead of going, it goes southwest, east, and matrix. And it's not even hitting the north. In this first four, we don't even hit the north, but in the other ones, it's together. So it's the four southern ones are together. The 4 eastern ones are together. The 4 northern ones are together. The 4 western ones are together. And the 4 matrix ones are together. With the solar seals, it goes in order. These wave spells don't go in the same order. So because they don't, that makes it 3-dimensional. And um, I'll mention that the way that the heart pumps, like if people have not seen Frank Chester's um explanation of what happens with the heart is a vortex. And so it pumps blood, not pumps, that's not the right it transmutes blood from used blood into clean blood, but it does that by vortexing in energy from way on top that would have to deal with the chakra system. And if you listen to the videos, I talk about the chakra system because each chakra has a frequency. And my frequencies again are different. You can't just go and listen to heart chakra frequency. It's the wrong frequency because it's tuned. Modern music is tuned to 440 instead of 432 or something like that. Either it's 432 instead of 440 or 440 instead of 432. I can't remember which one, but it's tuned wrong. And so when you listen to those frequencies, you're actually not being in tune. It's much better to just listen to like natural instruments being played or like natural nature sounds than to listen to a frequency unless you convert it into the proper tone, unless it's tuned properly. That's another conversation. So when the heart, like I said, it's not a pump, it's a vortex. So what the heart does is when it does what it does, it completely inflates and then it completely collapses. It's not like pumping like you would like, it's not pumping. It's literally hyperinflating and hyper collapsing. And that's what makes the beating. So when it hyperinflates, that's when the plasma or the ether or whatever you call it comes in from outside of you. And then when it collapses, that's when it pushes out. So one side of the heart is completely enlarged and one side of it is collapsed. And that's what Frank Chester talks about in his research. And so we see that in the earth because if you look at the aurora from the top of the globe or at some point on the globe, it actually is all inside of a circle. Like it's all of it, all of the aurora is contained inside of a circle. But if you look at it from a different position on the globe, it's like there's a big circle in the middle of it and the aurora is around it. So you can actually like see this physically on the earth. So that's how we know where the center point of the earth is, where how we know the earth has a core, all the different things that we know. So that's Frank Chester's research, which I'm not going to go like super deep into because it's pretty esoteric and complicated. But that is how so that's what, when I say it's spinning, that's what I mean. I mean it's hyperinflating and then hyper collapsing to draw in the energy, and that's represented in this calendar, the literal like pumping of the heart or whatever you call it. I don't even know what else to call it besides pumping, but how the heart actually works is represented in this calendar. So when I turned it, like I said, from 20 by 13 to 13 by 20, you can't see this in 20 by 13. You can only see it in 13 by 20, which is amazing. So that's, I can talk about more, but I probably should pause my rant.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, it's, it's like you're speaking another foreign
I
language,
know.
but it's obviously this is how we start in terms of you speak about it and then slowly it starts to get dripped into concepts that I can better understand. Um,
Yeah, it's gonna take a while because
but
this is not
mhm.
normal. Like this is not so the okay, but you can't talk about the fact that they're talking about purifying people. Like they're giving people an opportunity to be
via the
purified.
color.
Yeah, the color. It's amazing.
Yeah, right,
Now I
right. Oh,
haven't
and yes,
calculated our
yes,
color for the year yet. So
and
I'm gonna
as
do that.
and as you said, like it's very important for us to start looking at all the moves the system makes now in our favor.
Right.
And this is a new thing now. Yeah, maybe it could have worked in the past, but like I really think that this is like a a transformational shift that has taken place the last few weeks, really,
Yeah.
where it's like very similar to like it's like and you see it, at least I see it on my feed with people that like they're still in the old time. Everyone always says, "Oh, this is a new timeline," right? And but like they're still dealing with things from this timeline where it was like the quote unquote Illuminati
Right.
rule, the
Right.
quote unquote Illuminati control and all of this and that like, we have to be skeptical of the leaders and the
Right.
government and what they're doing. But and this is I saw it change completely with the whole Venezuela situation
Right.
where I didn't form an opinion initially because I felt it didn't make sense for me like it because when we form an opinion right off the bat, immediately we create bias.
Right.
Regardless of obviously like the history of whatever might have been or this or that of any of these systems, this time in particular, there was no what I felt was it's very important for me to stay as a bystander, just observing, just
Mm.
observe. That was what I was basically kind of compelled to do is just observe. Don't rush to form an opinion on is this good, is this not good? Just observe. And as I was observing, that's when the messages start to kind of bubble up. And the bubble up was this feels different. This
Right.
does not feel like any other intervention type on top of the fact that like they got the whole navy is there.
Right.
Like I mean
Basically.
this is a big situation. They're putting a lot of pressure on basically this dictator, but the energy feels different. There's something different about this move.
Right.
And then as I kept exploring that difference in the energy, that's when I realized, oh shit, that's us. This is us. But this
Mm.
is us from the future in terms of like this is basically what I noticed was like in the future where we're at, like this move, this Venezuela move was us commanding um like it's like if you were to look at the at your past in life, you could see how if you were aware of everything, like you did it perfectly. Like you made
Mm.
the perfect moves in the perfect way. Now, maybe in the present, when we were going through it, it might not have felt perfect. It might not have seemed perfect. But when you look back, you're like, I did this, and then I did this, and then I went here, and then I went here. And it led me to this breakthrough moment. So with the empire, like even though we're not even though we don't have all these material riches, even though we don't have like the finest jewelry, the finest fabrics, where we don't live in this magnificent castle, at least not yet, that does not mean that the potency and the strength of the empire is not already with us. It's been with
Right.
us the whole time. And because it's been with us the whole time, like it's very important for us to basically put ourselves, even though we're living in the present, to be aware of the future of our future selves. And what I basically saw from this Venezuela thing is that like that was for me a sign that we have taken over, like we have
Right.
fully taken over. And in the future, we're going to look back at this Venezuela situation, regardless of whatever happens, and be able to tell that this was indeed the empire. It was
Right.
not Trump. It was not the Pentagon. It was not the US government. It was our infrastructure making this happen. And that's how I realized, okay, now I'm getting into geopolitics. Like this is the
Right.
entryway. Um, so
Well,
it's
I made a video like almost 2 years ago now that said the mother works in politics, because I had the same inclination. I was like, there's no way that politics is just like some separate thing running by itself. It's not how it nothing works like that. And I was like, no, the feminine, the mother works in politics. And I got a lot of pushback for that, because people didn't want to hear that, because in the church and also within the Hebrew Israelites, the main thing was, hey, we don't get involved in politics. This is not our country. This is not our government. This is not our anything. So we just stay out of it. And that is not the message I got. Like, I had been channeling in lots of messages that was the complete opposite of that thought process. And I was right, basically. And the thing about us not being in castles, that's not true. Like, we are in castles. We're in these castles related to this Zocan cycle. So everybody has one of 260 days that is their energy, that's their kin. And that means you belong in one of these castles. And every
mm,
year on your birthday, you get access to a new castle based on what kin number your birthday falls on. So no, we have access. We have a castle. Like, when Jesus said, my father has cattle on 1,000 hills, I bet you it was castles, not cattle, because that would make more
right,
sense
right.
based on this. So I just thought about that. So so we do have castles. Like, that's why it's so insidious to have the Zokin. And if you look at it, I'll see if I can find a picture when you start talking again. But it looks like a butterfly. So, let me mention this about the butterfly, because I don't think people know this. Monarch butterflies they travel back and forth. So wherever they were born, they are encoded at a certain time to go back to. But it's not the same butterfly that leaves a particular area that makes it back to the area where they were born. What happens is, along the way, the butterfly dies and goes back into the chrysalis and is reborn, flies some more, goes back into the chrysalis, is reborn, flies some more, goes back into the chrysalis, is reborn, and flies some more. So, but they have this built in like desire to go back where they came from. And so that's really the doom loop, because they could stay where they were. Because a lot of times, especially now with modernization, the place that they're going back to is no longer, it doesn't exist anymore, because they've mowed the grass down, or things have changed. And so these monarch butterflies are essentially flying back to their death, because their home doesn't exist anymore the way that they left it. And the fact that they just keep dying and being reborn and being reborn and being reborn to go back to a place that doesn't exist is insanity. And so when you turn it 13 by 20, that's what you're doing. You are literally, 20 by 13, you are literally cycling through and cycling through and cycling through, like, you know, literally like dying and being reborn, dying and being reborn, dying. It is, I call it the doom loop, but it is that cursed thing where you just keep getting on the wheel. Like, you die and you come back, you die and you come back. If you have a home, which is these castles, you don't have to die and come back, because it's a castle. It's not a butterfly. And that's the difference, turning it 13 by 20 versus 20 by 13, which is incredible. Like, I forgot that whole thing about the butterfly until I started thinking about this whole part. It's really unbelievable.
So, can you give like a synopsis of what you just said when it comes to like the butterflies and the like the reincarnate, like kind of like the
Okay, so the way that they interpret the Zolkin cycle now, like, I think it's the weaponized. The way that the weaponized Tzolk'in cycle is presented to humanity is in a form where if you get on the wheel of the cycle, there you don't have a home. You're just cycling through. And when you die, you get back on the wheel. Like that's how I describe people who die who have not who don't have a home, who haven't completed the lessons, right? They get back on the wheel. And that's what they call it the galactic butterfly. It's but if you like again, if you know that a butterfly dies and is reincarnated as another butterfly to fly some more, to die again and reincarnate again, and this whole process of forced reincarnation back as a butterfly because they're trying to get to a place that doesn't exist. That is I think that's just weaponization of the information, because again, if you do it like that, then you never get off the wheel. Like you just keep cycling back through without the capacity to learn the lessons, because the way it should happen is like, if these are castles, right, instead of butterflies, if these are castles, when you cycle back in, you're born into a new castle. And then you get to what? Explore that castle, what you have access to. And that's your home. So when you die, you're born into another new castle and you explore that castle. That's the difference. Like the butterfly is just reincarnation after reincarnation after reincarnation after reincarnation, looking for something that doesn't exist. Castle means you're born into a home, you're born into a family. It's like, again, the prodigal son. He realized he had made a grave mistake and he went back home, as opposed to you, like we were talking about privately, like you running away from your problems and trying to escape them by running away from them. That's the difference between the galactic butterfly and the galactic butterfly misaligned energy and the castle aligned energy. A castle is a home, it has a court. You have a role, you have a position, you have a place, you have a title. If it's just a random butterfly, it's a point. It's an isolated point with no foundation tied into it. And the way that they teach this now is from the perspective of the galactic butterfly, not from the perspective of the castle.
That was the past calendar.
No, people who follow the Mayan calendar, they still follow it the 20 by
Okay,
13.
so how it's interpreted is the butterfly concept.
Yes,
But
but
how you're
I'm
seeing
saying
it,
it's
or
through the castles.
well, okay, so how you're seeing this calendar or your calendar?
They're the same.
Okay,
There's
okay.
not, again, I always talk about this. We don't need new things. We just have to reorganize the old things. It's the same calendar. It's the same 260 days. It's the same colors. It's the same, well, not the same, it's in a different order, but it is the same colors. It's the same 260 days. It's the same colors. It's the same everything. The difference is, oh, shoot. The difference is, my earpiece fell out. I turned it on the 13 by 20 side, and they look at it as 20 by 13. I'm focused on the wave spells, which is the motion, right? Because I said it's a three-dimensional thing. If you go from 1 to 14, that's in motion. Like the order of the numbers is 1, 14, 7, 20, 13, 6, 19, 12, 5, 18. This is, I don't know what this means yet. I still haven't deciphered this, but it's not 1 through 20. I thought it was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as far as the wave spells were concerned. They're not, they're in rotation. So since they're in rotation, this is a breathing document. Whereas the way that they're currently interpreting the Mayan calendar is dead, because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like it's in a very, very regimented order. There's no animation to it. This, what I put together, is animated. This is a thing that has a soul. That Mayan calendar with the butterfly that they use doesn't have a soul. This has motion.
Mm.
And theirs doesn't. It doesn't have motion. It has the butterfly, which is it's not it's perceived motion. It looks like you're advancing, right? Because you think of a butterfly, it flaps its wings, but if you don't okay, so like Jesus had the parable where he said he told them that they had to be born again. And what did these people say? Am I to go back into my mother's womb? And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, is that some kind of weird sex magic? Like, what are y'all talk? Like, why would you even say that? But listen to what I said about the butterfly. What happens? It goes back into the womb. It goes back into the chrysalis to be reborn as a new butterfly. That is not what Jesus said. Jesus said, no, you dumb fucks. Like, that's not what I said. Like, how could he said no? You get baptized. You get motion. Baptism is what? It's emotion. If you I got baptized like a year ago, like in the Orthodox Church. Like there's motion. They and the Father and they dunk you, and the Son dunked again, and the Holy Spirit dunked again. That's motion. That is not like dying, right? Like traveling as far as you possibly can, what the butterfly does, going back into the womb, coming back out as a butterfly. When you get baptized, you get a new name. Your old sins are cast away. That's what the baptism is. These people thought that it meant you keep all of your old stuff, right? That's what we were just talking about earlier. You keep all of your old stuff and you just move on. No. That's not how it works. You don't get to keep it. You have to, like you said earlier, leave that baggage behind. You have to leave that old man where he was and re-emerge as a new person. But if you're on butterfly time, you coming back as a butterfly. That's not a new person. That's the same old person. Like, does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
very
No,
like
yeah, I get it. I
very
guess.
esoteric it's extremely
Well, so I
esoteric.
mean, this is where like the whole archons idea concept comes with
Probably.
the butterflies, where
Right.
like you die and then
Or
I
the
saw
golems.
where you die and then basically like if you seek the light, you go back into like the Saturn matrix essentially, where the archons like at least the Gnostics seem to believe this whole archon thing, but
Yeah,
and
that
then like
makes
the
sense.
monad and then the whole monad thing. But that is what you're saying is this is the butterfly thing. Like this is
Right.
because what and it's interesting because what I was sensing today, because there was a few TikTok videos that showed up on my feed about this whole archons thing and what
Mm.
basically was, and I think I sent you one of them like a few days ago, where Jesus was teaching about
Oh yeah.
like how to basically maneuver the afterlife, like how to kind of I guess ascend in after death or kind of after that next phase. And it all seems so complicated, and also when things show up in my life and in any of our lives, like there's not a coincidence. It's always very important to be quiet and absorb the messages, because it's very when we don't form opinions, it allows us to absorb and then basically let that percolate, let
Right.
whatever we're observing, the energy that we're observing and absorbing, to percolate, and then it comes up and it shows us. So I was looking at all this, I'm like, this is just so complicated, and this is, I think, Gnostics is the ones that really kind of believe this, and I don't know where they got this information from Jesus from, but this is more on the Gnosticism side.
It's called the Pistis Sophia. It's a book.
Oh, so
Very
okay, so it's that.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a very, very complicated book that I haven't gotten back to. But now with this understanding that it's the butterfly,
Mm.
basically the butterfly effect. Remember they had that movie
Uh-huh.
with
Yep.
Ashton Kutcher and the whole thing? Like that's what that is. Like, oh, if you change what is it in the movie was if you change one thing, then you don't know how that's gonna affect everything else and it throws everything else out of sync and all of that stuff. Well, that was just fear mongering. Like that was literal fear mongering to keep you as the butterfly coming back in the
Mm.
same body doing the same thing. Instead of saying, look, I got to be a new person. I have to be washed in the water so I
Right,
can come back
right.
as a new person in my new castle. So
Yep.
I understand now we do have castles. It's just that it's not being it's not being framed right to most people. It's not being framed properly, and that's what the calendar does. So they're moving people towards the calendar without even telling them that's what they're doing. It's
Mm.
very incredible to watch.
Yeah, yeah, right. Because so and I was thinking about like this whole complexity of okay, what do you do in the afterlife? And on top of that was like what am I, what am I really doing here? Because like I've gotten to a
Exactly.
point in terms of being empowered where I legitimately, and I always believed it, but like it's becoming eerily obvious that like the grip that I have on reality is very intense. And so what, it's one thing to believe, and then it's another thing to be seeing it day to day. Like for there to be so many synchronicities, for there to be so much overt signs that it's like it's more than just belief. It becomes fact, it becomes
Mm,
reality. So when I started to remember that, and then going back to thinking about all this archons and it's all this complex systems, I was like, I I I basically what I saw was like, "This is my game." Like,
right.
"This is my game." I don't it doesn't even matter what is real, what is not real, like, it's gotten to a point now where this is my game, and reality is like, "Oh, shit, he woke up." Like, "Oh,
Right.
shit," like, he knows that it's his game, and because it's his game, like, it has to happen. Things have to move
Right.
in alignment, and and for what you're saying when it comes to, like because okay, so in that realization, that understanding, it was like, okay, well, none of this Archon stuff, none of this stuff really, if it's supposed to matter, it'll come up, but it doesn't matter because of the the point that I have reached. Like, I'm just breaking it all down. Like it's
Right.
whatever f- phases and growth and barriers and different bosses that show up. Like none of it like just all just disappeared. It all just fell apart. And
Well,
what we're
because we
seeing.
went into the castles. When you're in the when we're the butterfly, there is no protection. What protects the butterfly? Does a
Right,
butterfly
right.
have walls? Does a butterfly even have a home? Like they're always pining for a place they can. I mean, look at these people who like want to be taken back to Andromeda or wherever alien place they came from. Like they're pining for a place that doesn't exist. Because, like I told you, everything that exists physically in the universe exists on Earth. It doesn't exist anywhere else. Like the energy is there, but the physical thing is here. And so they're longing for a place that literally does not exist.
It's like the Red Pill Bros.
Yeah,
They wanna go
them
back
and
to
I mean the spiritual people too.
the 1940s, the 1950s.
Oh, right, right, right. Oh, when I just saw a thing where they were talking about Popeye, he was really on methamphetamines. That wasn't spinach in that can. That was
Mm.
code for some kind of methamphetamine, and olive oil was his drug dealer. I'm gonna send that
Makes
tweet to you because
sense.
that was no, that's insane. That is insane. Everybody thinks Popeye was chugging down spinach and it was really drugs. And the only one trying to let me find this video. The only one trying to do anything about it was the guy who they called the enemy. And he was trying to take the drugs away from him, and they kept beating him.
Mm. So
Which is
what are the odds then that, like, this whole color thing, right? The color thing where it's like a flip. There's been a flip of a switch. It's like the switch has been flipped, and now you have the system that fought us tooth and nail our whole life, like
mm,
very, very covertly, but also very powerfully, like went against us. Now it's like the whole. their whole infrastructure is now has been the whole thing was set up to empower us
Right.
from the beginning. That's the thing. It's they were never against us. The system was never against us. It was in place and set up to initiate us to be at the position that we are in now to be able to command it. Because what we're seeing now is they're moving lockstep.
Right.
The fact, yeah, this whole color thing, like people are freaking out right now. People, the brown is getting too much to people. Like they're what is it when you like smoke too much, you brown
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
like you're like hazy. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like there's so much going on, and so like people are. I mean, my feed shows it. Like people are like, what's going on? There's so it's too much energy. So much is happening. This and that. And so, of course, the color being what was it, Cloud
Cloud Walker.
Dancer? Cloud Walker, that's very light. That's
Yes.
very airy. That's very elevated. Um, and in many ways, I think it's very cleansing. So to bring about this kind of order, this airy heavenly order, is going to be very important to guide people to. So things are gonna get very brown, they're gonna stay very brown, and then it's like the water is going to turn crystal clear,
Mm.
and everybody is going to have the opportunity to see in the water, to see the light, and to go after it. Because right now, there's all these snake oil salesmen, there's all these distractions, there's all this noise in the brown water. Like it's cloudy, it's
Right.
hazy. So obviously the butterflies, the humans in this monarch, like they're just
Mm.
fluttering around from one guru to the next guru
Right.
to the next belief system
Right.
to the next religion to the next this to the next that, and then the next year it's going to be completely clear.
Yep.
And obviously when it's completely clear, there's only one God.
Right.
Like there's only one way. And
Right.
and the one way is not necessarily, oh, they're going to follow our path. The one way is, it's going to be very obvious what is in alignment and what is not.
Right.
It's going to feel very obvious when you are moving in alignment and when you're moving in misalignment. And you're not going to need to read any books about it. You're not going to need to listen to any lectures about it. It's going to be blatantly obvious what you should be doing. And that's going to be very eerie, airy.
Yeah, it's again moving into lightness, into alignment. Um People are just going to Adahiel is the herald of obedience to the law. People are just going to follow the law. The cosmic laws are not going to be ignored anymore. They're going to be followed, which is new. Like it's
Yes,
been,
order is coming to the
yeah,
land.
order.
Finally, order. And everyone wanted this order. That's the thing. Everybody
Right.
wanted it. They were just trying to, as you said, like the butterflies, they're just trying to survive. Everyone is just trying
Right.
to survive. And some
Right.
unfortunately had to, kind of in some ways or another sell themselves out, whatever way that might be. Others had to dim their lights. Other had to, go through whatever it is, things that every human had to do, but they did it to survive. And like, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Salvation is always available for everyone.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah.
now that the system is moving towards rehabilitating its participants, itself, but really rehabilitating like the humans, this is where now like everyone just follows lockstep, and it's, I mean, it's very similar to kind of how these narratives I've noticed have come about, where something like with raw milk, like the most fervent people that saw it so negatively, eventually you see it so often, eventually it's so openly embraced, your friends start drinking it, your other
Right.
guru friends start promoting it, that you go from hating it, a person goes from hating it to, when without even realizing it, they start promoting it. Like, they're not even aware of the dramatic shift that takes place in their life, and this is what's going on in terms of people are going from 0 to 1. They're transforming in front of our eyes from
Right.
serving the wicked to serving the good. And
Right.
it's crazy to see how effortless. It's effortless. I in the a few years ago, like I I had faith, obviously. I've always had faith and trust that what was being done in terms of like what I was building was going to amount to something transformational to help elevate the vibrational state of reality. But I never tried to look deeply in terms of how the fuck we're gonna do that. Because anytime that I would just try to entertain it, even just for a minute, it would be like, this is just too much. This is just too much.
Right.
Like the odds are stacked completely against this almost delusional fantasy coming to fruition. But that was not my place to figure out. So obviously I
Right.
didn't spend much energy on it because all I knew was like, let me just focus on the now. Let me just focus on what I got to do, what's the focus, and it'll be figured out. To now where it's just like it's so easy. It's so easy how the
Yeah.
system is just falling lock step.
Again, we didn't need a new system. Like we didn't
Uh-huh.
need a new
Uh-huh.
system. All we had to do was take over the matrix. Like the matrix was there for a reason. It's literally it's the enchanting. Like the green castle is of enchantment. Like we just literally didn't need a new system. And when I started saying that too, like 3 years ago, the people were like the people who were following me and people who were listening to me and then commenting on what I said were like, no, like we have to burn this system down. And that's what the black creators who are in this whole color world were also saying. They're like, no, the color should be red. It's a revolution. And all it's like it's not a revolution. What time for revolution is over. We're done with that. It's over. It's literally over. We don't need to go that direction. We need to move forward.
I was asking AI, maybe I think it was yesterday. I was like, "What is the modern day version of a castle?" Which is kind of hilarious. I've been
Mm,
looking at a lot of castle videos, in terms of like how they used to siege the castles, like how they would protect the castles, how they would take over the castles. And so I asked them what the modern day equivalent for a castle is, and they said it was basically like a subterranean palace, essentially, like, really deep into the ground in bedrock so that any bombs that would hit would not be able to impact it. But um, the castles that obviously are being spoken about is the understanding and the idea that if you are under the protection of a lord, which back in the medieval times, like everybody was under the protection of a lord, and
right,
and the castle was basically like like the real protection. Like that was where if anything
right,
bad happens, you run into the castle, you lock all the doors, and the likelihood that they're going to take over the castle was very slim. It was, especially if it was a well-designed castle, like it was impenetrable essentially. And
right,
uh it was through having control of the castles that you were able to exert power. And um, I watched a video yesterday on was it um, was it no, I don't think it was with no. I don't know why I thought that it was with you. Hannibal. Hannibal was in Italy for 10 years. For
what?
10 years, he was roaming Italy, basically trying to take over the Roman Empire. And the only reason why he couldn't take over Rome was because obviously it was a castle. They had
Wow.
their walls were basically impenetrable, and
Oh my
he
goodness.
didn't have the the weaponry, aka the trebuchets, and the weaponry to be able to actually like lay siege on
Right.
Rome. So what Rome
Wow.
essentially would do was they were like, "Holy shit, this Hannibal guy is like an amazing general. He just every time we go to battle with him, he just takes us out. Like this guy was really, really, really powerful." And So they stopped giving him battle, and they just basically, like, they just did, like, a guerrilla warfare. Like, anytime he would send scouts and send, troops to go get food, like, that's where the Roman legions would come and basically, like, meet them to fight, and then boom, pull back. For
Wow.
10 years, Hannibal was in Italy trying to wait for someone to fight him, and then, Carthage ended up getting sacked by another Roman general, and so he had to go back and basically clean that mess up. So, uh, yeah, when you have the protection of a lord that has a castle, you move differently.
Right.
The magic don't be working no more because you're under
Right.
the protection of someone way more powerful than any of this puny magic can do.
Right. And alternatively, if you come into the castle that's the castle of magic, which is what America is. America is the castle of magic, and you turn basically like what you would deactivate all the people who were doing magic because that's what they did to the population that was already here. They deactivated us. It was a Trojan horse. They deactivated us, and so then they took over doing the magic. But if you have one or two people wake back up and say, hey, wait a minute, that magic is for me to do. Um, uh, and this is like a very stark turn because we've been talking for a few months, and like I've always said, oh, you don't need magic, this and that, so on and so forth. And now I'm like, well, magic is actually for some people, that's what they're supposed to use. Like, not only what you're supposed to use, it should be the first thing you go to, not the last thing you go to. And so, given that, like, sort of like 180 in like belief, that means if we're doing magic here on this land, because what is propaganda but magic? We were talking about that the other day. What is like narrative generation? And it is magic. It's how do you do that? And what I call the magic we do here is land magic. We work with the land, like in collaboration with the physical land to work the magic. And so if we're working land magic, they think that if they take the land from us, that they also take the magic from us. But it's in us, not on us. And so that's why it's so easy to, if you have a few people gathered, you know, inside this empire, and we're all working towards the same goal from different perspectives, it's it's impenetrable, and the walls will be built back up, and the people who are not supposed to be here will what? They'll be kicked out. They'll be exposed. The ones whose vibration isn't in alignment with what we want on this land will literally have to leave and go to another land. Like, there's just going to be no space for them. And that's the kind of like energy that started to arise when, especially when I started, we canceled the contracts and all of that stuff. All that stuff was magic. It's word magic, but it was magic. And to hold up the the desire to see things resolved and to do whatever it takes to resolve it. It's like when God created everything, he left part of himself in everything, good, bad, and ugly. And so if you can find the part of the creator in anything, including magic, then you can find that part of the creator in yourself. Like, if you can figure out what castle you belong in, then you can literally go from being an unprotected butterfly to being very, very well protected by the walls of the castle. And it's funny because I told you I was doing this experiment with this stuff to build this to make these rocks, this granite. This guy is um I don't know, it's kind of weird, but he posted a video earlier today, I think, where in China, they're building houses out of molds. They're literally molding, like, they're using concrete, but obviously you could use this granite mixture that he's talking about, but they're molding concrete into houses. Like, they look like mini mansions, and they're beautiful. But it's like the guy was just like, wait a minute, this is what you can do with a mold. Like, so of course they built the pyramids with a mold. They didn't use bricks. They didn't bring bricks from other places. That's a fabrication. They built it with a mold. They bought sand because the sand is the same composition as the pyramids. And this is like part of the big secret that they're hiding. That's why they could build pyramids all over the world. They just built them with the local sand. Because basically the recipe to build this fake granite that this guy is talking about is literally sand and then basically a polymer glue, which is pretty easy to put together with basic stuff. You can buy it, but if you, in the absence of being able to buy it, you can make it. It's not hard. I haven't got that deep into it yet because I need more space, but yeah, it's really not difficult. And so imagine the repercussions of that, where instead of getting a builder to come in and chop down trees and all of this stuff, all you had to do is get some sand, dry it out and put it into a mold with some glue. You pour the sand in first, then you pour the glue in on top of it, and you pour it into the mold. You wait a week maybe and come back and you take the mold off, and basically you can build your house by yourself. You don't need these building companies and all of this stuff. You and your family can do it without cutting down thousands and thousands of trees. There's infinite amount of sand on this planet, and the new sand will just be made. So you once you understand that it's a castle and not a butterfly, we start going, this somebody said, oh, humanity is over and all this stuff. And I was like, I just figured out, like, I just decrypted a cryptology code no one even knew was a code from who even knows how long ago, that says that magic was done on this land. We're just getting started. Like, this is the beginning. This is not the end. This is the beginning of where we're going. And astrologically speaking, Saturn and Neptune um conjuncting in Aries has not happened for 6,000 years. And so this is the first time in 6,000 years this has happened. And so that's what this is indicating. This is not the end. This is literally the beginning of a whole new world. And we are, with our energy, shaping the way that it's going to play out. That's incredible.
Period.
Period. Yes.
Type
Period.
shit. Type
Yeah.
shit.
That's incredible. And people are still out here like flailing about. Like, stop
Yep.
flailing.
But meanwhile, this is what we were built for. Like, I mean,
Right.
I've never felt so um like focused and disciplined, and in terms of like what I am doing energetically. I would
Right.
say in general, like, my day is still the same.
Right.
Nothing has really shifted out of like the craziness and physically. But, like, the level of energetic mastery that I wield now, and the amount of messages that I get from both God as well as, like, the the spiritual realm, the gods, the goddesses,
Right.
all the entities out there, as I, open myself up more to understanding. And I mean, I'm doing offerings every day. I've been doing offerings all the time, but, like, now I'm
Right.
conscious of the fact that I'm doing offerings, and especially
Right.
more recently, like, I'm feeding big animals. Like,
Right.
I'm buying out here, feeding at least 1 to 2 pounds of meat a day to who knows what animals. All I know
Right.
is when I go to that spot, all the food has been eaten. So
Wow.
something is eating it,
Right.
whether it's the ravens, whether it's like the coyotes, the deer. I don't know who's eating it. I don't care. I know that that has to continue to happen. And it's very interesting that a lot of these AI videos are of wildlife connecting with humans.
Like the one that the giraffe picked the lady up.
Oh, I
That's
haven't
got to
seen
be
that
a.
one. I haven't
Oh
seen that one.
Lord,
I've
a
seen one of
giraffe
like
picked a woman up.
a wolf in some icy like lake, and the human like picks it up, takes it to the vet, and like then the wolf comes and visit it often, and it's
Oh my
all
gosh.
AI. It's all just,
Really?
yeah, it's all just fake. But
Oh.
you don't really like, unless you really can tell, like you don't know that it's AI. And so it's
Right.
this very sentimental storyline of the fact that, hey, you can help out the wildlife. Like it's not something to be scared about. It's not something to run away from. And
Right.
that I see that as like the continuation of this narrative, which is feed the animals. Why have we
Right.
not been feeding the animals? I mean, sure, yeah, maybe we've been doing it here and there, but like I look at all this meat. Like I go to the grocery store now, I'm finding $1.99 a pound meat.
Right.
Obviously, granted, I was not looking for it back then, but I don't remember ever seeing these massive pork shoulders. There's they out here, they're cutting 10 plus pound pork shoulders and selling it for 1.99 a pound.
That is
Like,
really cheap. No, that's really cheap.
yeah. And it's fresh, which is very important. And 199 is like, is I mean, that's I can feed a good amount of animals with that and just keep going. Like just
Right.
keep abundantly providing as much food as possible, where this is, in my eyes, is really providing offerings to the land, and uh awakening humans to both appreciate animals, as well as the animals begin to, if they haven't been doing it already, like work together. There's
Right.
like, and it's funny because last summer I saw, um, it was a mountain lion with its baby mountain lion and a skunk. I think I told you about this. I think it was a no, I think it was a mountain lion. It was one of those types of predators with the skunk, with a baby skunk there. Three of them, a prey and a predator. And I asked AI, like, is this normal? They're like, no, that's not. It's very rare to see a predator and a prey like moving around together. And that was when I realized, whoa, there's a whole new world out here with animals. Like
Right.
it's not just like a predator sees a prey and instantly wants to eat it. There's emotions, a relationship, there's a support system. Instead of being every man for themselves, every animal for themselves, like we can all now work together. We can come
Right.
together as one.
Right. Well, that's how it's supposed to be. Again, the Shema is the Lord our God is one. Like that's the most important law. Like even Jesus said, honor your father and your mother and love your neighbor as yourself. Like that's what he was talking about. Like the creator is not separated from himself. That's why, like, if you think about in the fairy tales, look at Aladdin. Princess Jasmine had a big Bengal tiger as her pet. That is crazy. Like, but she wasn't afraid of it. But that thing was scary, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's how it's supposed to be with these animals. They were never supposed to be in fear with us. But again, this Trojan horse was brought into the castle, which is this lie that said we have to separate all the pieces of our, like, the creator is separate from himself. That is the Trojan horse. And so
Mm.
one time I had one of my coworkers, she suggested I do this. She asked me, did I give my problems to God? And I was like, well, I don't really I don't think like that. But she was like, no, you should try it. So she said what they do is they write all their problems out on a piece of paper, then they rip the paper into little itty bitty pieces and they throw it away. And I was in my mind, I'm like, that's not kind of magic you want to be doing. Like that don't sound right, you know? And so it's like, no, that's what we do. We nitpick ourselves to death, pull out every little piece and say, oh, this piece is bad. It can't be from the creator. That piece is bad. It
Mm.
can't be from the
Right, right.
creator.
Yep.
God didn't give us this. Or what they say, oh, God didn't give you a spirit of fear. Actually, there's good fear and there's bad fear. If
Uh-huh.
you're around a group of people who look like they're about to rob you, you probably should be a little afraid. Like, you probably should be a little afraid. It's called situational awareness. There's good fear and then there's bad fear.
Mhm.
And so, like, no, God did give us fear, but it's to help us, it's not to hurt us. And so, when you have people saying things like that and not understanding what they mean or the context, that's you ripping, and that's what these gods, like Jehovah, Allah, and the rest of them, like, that's what they want. They want you to be separate from the creator. So they create barriers. So if you go into like a regular Protestant church, you are going, that's one specific God. Like, you can't go into another church. I think we talked about this a long time ago. You can't go into another church and be like, yeah, I'm about to join this church. Because what if that God don't like your God? Then you got problems at this church. That happened to me. And so, like, yeah, you can't just do stuff like that when you work with all these weird gods that want you to be separate from the other parts of yourself, from your family, from your friends, from your holidays, from your country. That you can't work with a guy. Allah is huge for that. Why they send all of their Allah followers over here to America? Go back to where Allah is, which is, in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and all that, Muhammad, wherever the thing is. Why don't y'all go there? That's where your God is. No, 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 no. They don't actually want their people to be united with their God. They want them to be separate. So they're always, they have the, what is that, the Hajj, where they go back there. Like, they always have this yearning to go be with their creator. Like, that's the butterfly timeline.
Yeah, and this is, and I think this is where the magic, the thing with magic, it gets iffy because, like, so, like, true magic is almost in many ways, like, it's not known. Like,
Right,
when you are actually practicing magic, like real powerful magic, you're not even aware of it. Like, it
right,
doesn't even cross your mind that you're doing magic.
right.
When you have to think about it, and I think a good example is what you said with, I mean,
The
basically, like,
ceremonial
the
magic, where it's based
the
on a
human
certain
looks at them,
time.
the human looks at themselves and says, "I don't have enough money. So I'm going to use magic to basically manifest money." This is where magic went completely off the rails, because that is, um, a an extreme negation of the perfection of the now,
Mm,
where instead of embracing God and the creator and this reality as it is, we are trying to, uh, we're not we're not able to accept it and embrace it, and instead we try to superimpose our own distorted view of, oh, evil should be banished from the land. But as you said, like, it's much more complex than just, oh, we got to remove evil from the land. Like, it's all God. So if you're trying to remove one aspect of God, like, you're negating the fact that it's all God.
right,
And I think this is the issue with or at least how magic was practiced previously, where people use it for trying to get things because they're not content and fulfilled with the present moment. When we are content and fulfilled with the present moment, are we still going to do magic? Sure, but you're not going to be aware that you're even doing magic. Like, for me, when I provide the offering to the animals, that's very deep magic, but I'm doing it because that's what I'm called to do. I'm
right,
called to give food to the animals. Sure, might I do, like, a little message to a few gods? Yeah, but one, I'm not asking them in terms of, um, I am showing gratitude for what they are able to provide. But at no point am I coming with the intention of, uh, lust, wanting, desiring, needing. No, it's because this is what has to happen.
right,
It's very important for me to, follow the compulsion that I have to feed the animals.
right,
Everything else, it does not matter. And I think in many ways, when people do this other type of magic, they're fixated on the future. They're not in the present moment. When we're in the present moment, it's almost like the magic ceases to exist. The magic, like, doesn't really, um and I think so. I guess with all of this is that To do magic when we are fulfilled basically gets to a point where there is no magic at all.
Well,
Like,
no, no,
it's kind of like a
that's not what's going to happen though, because it's just it's this it's what I said before, but it's I'm just saying it a little bit different. Everybody don't supposed to do magic. The people who do the vetting are the ones who are supposed to use magic, because magic is basically like divining. And you do need to use divining when you're vetting people, but there's not everybody. That's not everybody's gift. So what they've done is they've basically said, no, magic is for everyone to use, but that's not the case. It's only for certain people to use, and other people don't need it. They literally don't. Like, if you're from the red area or the white area or the Eastern Castle, you don't need magic. You don't need it. It's just the people who are basically like tuned into the frequency of these different entities that would need to use the divining to figure out what they're saying, like interpret. So the example that we found in the Bible was the story of Joseph. Joseph, the reason how the way he became Pharaoh in Egypt was, before that stuff happened, he interpreted the dreams of two individuals who had gotten on Pharaoh's bad side. One was a butler, and the other one was his baker. And they both had dreams, and the dreams troubled them. And Joseph was like, "Well, what's wrong with you guys?" And they were like, "Well, we had these dreams, and they're very troubling." He was like, "Well, um, basically, I am filled with the Creator. Tell me what your dream is, and I'll do the interpretation." And so he interprets the butler's dream is that basically he has three cups, and he ends up going back to serve Pharaoh or whatever as a butler, because a butler is basically, in those days, was the person who served Pharaoh's wine. That was the most important thing the butler did. The baker had a dream where he had three baskets, and the top basket was filled with breads, but there was birds eating the breads. And so Joseph interpreted his dream as, hey, you're going to lose your head, because the baskets were on his head. You're going to lose your head. And within 3 days, Pharaoh had a big party. He brought the butler back into his household, and he hanged the baker. Now, more than likely, because I think the book of Jasher goes into the detail on that story, more than likely the baker was stealing from Pharaoh. That's what the birds were eating the pieces. That was theft. And so 9 times out of 10, the birds were I mean the baker was stealing from Pharaoh, and that's why he got killed. But that's what we liken it to. The butler didn't have the gift of dream interpretation. The baker didn't have the gift of dream interpretation, but Joseph did. And because Joseph had that gift of dream interpretation, which is magic, like it's magic if you can interpret dreams, he had that gift. When Pharaoh had a dream that troubled him, they called Joseph to come and interpret it. And Joseph was right. Pharaoh's dream was about the famine. There was going to be 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of lack. And that is also one of the things that the Masons use, and also in Amos in 7 and 7. So I did a video on this. It was called 7 Years of Plenty. And it was based on Amos 7 and 7, but it also ties into this story as well. So some people, because people are going to have dreams that need interpretation, people are going to have problems that they don't understand. You can't just say there'll be no magic, but it's just not for everyone. Everyone should
Yeah,
not be
no,
practicing
I mean,
magic.
of course, magic is gonna is gonna continue. I think the issue with the current state of magic is that, like, it's people using magic to try to get in the way of God's will.
Right.
Instead of, it's a completely different type of magic if you're deciphering a dream. Whereas whereas if someone is coming to a witch and saying, like, "Oh, I want this man to fall in love with me," or, "Oh,
Right. Which is what they do.
I want my financial situation to improve," like, it's trying to negate doing the work that has to be done by
Right.
using magic. And And that's
Yeah,
basically
that's
what
because
magic has
people
become. That's what
that's
magic has become.
that's because people who are doing those things aren't supposed to be doing them. The only person, like, again, like, just back to that story with Joseph, he vetted those individuals and said they were worthy of him interpreting their dreams. He could have heard that they had a dream and didn't say anything. He vetted them. He vetted them because
Right,
he had
right.
been around them for a while. Like, he vetted them. That's why I said the person who does the vetting is the person who is supposed to do the magic. If somebody came to me, let me just as a if somebody came to me, first of all, this happens all the time. If you're a tarot reader and stuff like that, people come to you and they say, I want you to tell me about X, Y, and Z person, right? And so the tarot reader, because they're focused on the money, they don't ask questions about if they're coming to get a reading on somebody else or whatever, right?
Right,
And so
right,
they just do the reading. They just
right.
say, well, you paid your money, let me do your reading. I would never do that. I have told people, if you come to me with somebody else's information that you don't have permission to be in their energy and you think I'm going to do your reading, I'm going to send your money back
Mm,
because I cannot do that. So I don't even do me. I try very hard not even to pull celebrities' birth charts because I don't like infringing on people's privacy. That celebrity didn't ask me to pull their birth chart, and just because they're in the public eye doesn't mean that I have a right to pull their birth chart. So you don't see me doing. I have pulled some, but it was in the course of research regarding something specific that they were doing or a specific action. Like, I pulled Kanye West's birth chart, right? When I pulled his birth chart, it was because he was in the midst of a huge crisis, and I wanted to see who was on his spiritual team so that I could try to figure out if there was something that I could energetically do to help him because he was having all the problems with the guy and he was going off the rails and all of that. And I could see everyone, and anybody with eyes could see that everyone around him was doing magic on him. So I was like, it's got to be something we can do to, like, help him. He's out here suffering, and just because he's a celebrity doesn't mean that he has a right, like, he has to suffer like this. This is not right. So, and I also pulled Kendrick Lamar's birth chart, but again, it was for a similar reason. But I don't make a lot of public videos where I'm talking about even celebrities' birth charts. I don't like talk about nobody's birth chart because that's very personal to you. But you have these um astrologers, that's all they do. Let's look into this person's chart. Let's see why this happened to them. Let's see why that happened to them. That is an egregious, like, violation of their privacy. Are you supposed to be doing that? Who gave you the authority to do that? What is your reason for doing that? Now, if you're trying to do that to prevent harm to them, that's one thing. But look at Trump. All of these witches was doing magic on him, and we had to protect him from that. Um, but all these witches was doing magic on him, and you even heard, or maybe you might not have heard, but at the beginning of his term, this term, when he got in, there was witches going around saying, okay, if you're trying to astral project into the White House or whatever to deal with Trump, don't do that because he's got a bubble around him. We put a bubble around him. Like, we protected him because I saw what they was doing, and they was trying to literally kill him in his sleep, these weird witches and all these weird people. So, like, they don't have the right to do magic. They're not supposed to. Astrology, astronomy, cardology, they're not supposed to be doing none of that stuff. They don't belong to this blue castle. They belong to one of the other castles. But the people who are in the blue castle, we can judge character. Like, I can tell if a person is a good person or a bad person. And if I don't like the way that they do something and it's that egregious, I won't let that person in my energy. We were talking about that earlier. I don't care. I don't care. It could be my mama, my grandmama. Your energy is off. You got to get out of my energy until that thing evens out because I cannot allow that into my energy. And people who don't have that kind, but I'm also not going to isolate myself so that you can't catch my vibration and try to elevate. So it's a very,
Mm.
very thin line between like, you know, knowing people have bad energy and like you can't just cut them off. You need to give them like they need to be able to see how what their energy should look like. And that's something that if this is not for you, if magic is not for you, you shouldn't, because magic is very subtle. What you're saying is real magic is actually very, very subtle. But that's because the creator is subtle. The creator is very nuanced and the creator is very subtle. There is no hard and fast rules. The creator can do whatever he wants. But whatever it is usually going to be extremely subtle. It's going to be extremely gentle. It's not going to be aggressive. That would be the feminine energy that works in that more aggressive energy, which is not a problem. But that's just the in general, the creator doesn't show up for people screaming and yelling. The creator is the still small voice. And so you know what energy you're dealing with. If you're dealing with the energy like in my dreams, screaming and yelling, Trump, Trump, we want Trump. I wasn't the creator. I don't know who that was because the creator's voice is like, hey, you know, you got to get involved. You can't let
Yeah,
that
right,
witch
right.
get to be president. So you're going to have to do something about that. It's like, man, I don't
Mm.
want to be in, and I would always say, I don't want to be involved in none of this stuff. Well, you don't really have a choice. Like that's how the creator shows up. It's like, no, you don't actually have a choice. Like, you know, you wanted a choice. You thought it was going to be like, oh, you get to choose how this plays out. Not so much. And that's how I know who I'm dealing with. That can't be faked. You can't imitate like you can't imitate the still small voice once you hear it. So when I say we had a bubble up around like the hedge of protection, it was to give people the opportunity to hear the still small voice that was the voice of the creator. And instead of these people listening to that voice, they decided that they didn't want to listen to the voice. And so now, like I said, we removed our protection because they don't want to listen to the voice. Well, there's nothing left for me to do because I think you really should have listened to the voice. And if you don't want to listen, that's fine with me. I'm okay with that. But there's a now it's not like unnecessary pain and suffering. It's necessary pain and suffering because you
Mm.
wouldn't hear this little small voice that was trying to tell you how to handle that,
Yes, yep, definitely.
if that makes sense. But um because I just don't want people to, because when you say like, okay, nobody should be using magic, they try to use that as an edict. Like, oh, the emperor said nobody can use magic. Hey, nobody can use magic. You know what I mean? Then they start turning it into they start demonizing it and they start turning the people who have these natural capacities into witches. And then there's a witch hunt and then there's murder. So you have to like,
Well, I
you know what I
yes, I
mean?
agree, yeah, for sure, but I think at the same time, like, the way like, magic right now is out of control. Like, it's completely out of control, so by me going to the extreme, by basically shitting on magic, at least the way magic currently is, like I'm putting the people that don't deserve to be doing magic
Right.
on basically, I'm putting them up to be uh thrown tomatoes at.
Right.
Meanwhile, the ones that have been doing the real magic, they just keep going because it's subtle,
Right.
because it's quiet, because it's not
Right.
out here just trying to be profited. Like, so, when I like, and sometimes I do tweet like, uh magic is weak or this and
Right.
that.
For most
That's
people it's true
and
though.
that's
You're
not
right.
yeah, and that's not to obviously like that's not to poo-poo those that are doing magic. It's because I have seen it in my own life. Now, granted,
Right.
I don't do magic, at least not consciously in the way that I guess other people do. I do magic, and I'm aware that I do it, but the way that I do it is powerful because I'm not conscious of it and because I'm not
Right.
doing it to get something in return. That I
Right.
believe is real magic. But obviously, humanity has strayed so far away from what real magic is that it's like I have to put that type of magic on blast, make fun of it, like I guess in some ways demonize it, although that's not, I guess, my intention, and that's not what I really want to do. But it's it's basically to make magic be something that is not easily available, and something that goes back to the hands of the people that actually, like, know what the fuck they're doing,
Right.
which is the people that you're talking about. Those people are the ones that the real magicians, they're gonna hear me and say, "I don't give a shit. I'm gonna
Right.
keep doing it," right? Because they know that that's the path. They know that that's the way. The ones that keep getting railroaded by the magic, they're gonna hear me out and say, "You know what? I gotta stop doing it. It doesn't work.
Right.
Like, it's not for me." So I think
Right.
it's putting order in the magic world, where it's putting those that are doing it incorrectly on blast, and those that are doing it correctly, keep going, guys. Enjoy it. Have
Right.
fun. Go do what you're supposed to do. The rest of you guys, all of you, all other people, like, you're on blast, because this can't continue. This whole and
Well,
I
I
see it
call
all
it
the time
ceremonial
where
magic. Like, just so you know the difference, there's natural magic and then there's ceremonial magic. Ceremonial magic is for, there's a price on it. Like, there's a price. What I do, there's no price for. You can't pay me to do any of this stuff. But if you have a price, that's a ceremony. You're doing a ceremony for someone. So that's how I differentiate. So that people have to know what the language is. Part of the, problems we have is that nobody knows what anything is called. And so, like, if you start calling things by their proper name, that person may not know, but the entity in them does know.
right,
You know what I mean? And so that's the a more effective way to call people out, is to, like, really get under their skin with what they're doing. Because if you say just magic, that's a very general statement. But if you say ceremonial magic, they know who they're doing. These witches and warlocks and these type of people, they know they're doing ceremonial magic because it requires a ceremony, and they
right,
know what
right,
ceremonies are, and that stuff is obvious. It's the stuff that, natural magic is just, it's less obvious. It's like knowing that you need to turn left instead of right. It's like, looking at the sky and seeing that, oh, it's going to rain, or, like I've been saying, oh, it's going to get hot again in Florida, and it was 80 degrees today. It's like, yeah, I already knew summer number 4, because it doesn't get hot, I mean cold here until January. So we still got like this last little bit of summer to go before we get to the end of the month and it starts to cool down for real. It's like we have 4 sets of summer here. It's just or maybe more than that. This is the end of the season summer. And then by March the 1st, it's strawberry season. So it's that's the kind of thing that when you're in communion with nature. And I feel like that's what you're doing. You're getting into communion with nature. And so you'll be able to see these signs and these symbols and do these type of divinations anywhere. I said we needed to talk about this one time, and it's true. That is the initiation. That's the aligned initiation. Not what these people do in these secret organizations and all this stuff where they put people through false versions of these kind of initiations, that if you have access to magic, you will do naturally. You are naturally,
mm,
like you were naturally called to put the stuff out, naturally called to walk on your toes, naturally called to the raw. You'll naturally do it. It'll be, again, it's in you. It's not on you, it's in you. You will naturally just be called to it. But if you're not naturally called, and it's like anybody can do magic, but everybody could, like, what do they say? Many are called, but few are chosen. Like, anybody can do it, but everybody shouldn't. Everybody's not chosen for it, because what kind of person do you have to be to, like you do, buy this meat, put it out there for these animals, not knowing what's going to happen with it, just because? Like, you're not doing it for a reason. There's no benefit to this. Nobody's watching. Nobody's keeping count, like in the public.
right,
However, your behavior is showing that you have the ability to be the custodian of some kind of nature magic, probably dealing with animals. I'm not an
mm,
animal person, so you won't catch me doing animal magic. I don't like animals. I don't like animals. So you're not going to catch me doing anything with animals. Like, I don't have pets. I've never had a pet. I don't like them. I'm thinking about a dog, but I'm not thinking about a dog. I don't like, I'm just not an animal person. Like, I'm just not. So somebody has to be dealing with the animals. And maybe that's the kingdom of magic that you'll probably be the most related to, more than likely. But again, like I said, I haven't finished deciphering this chart yet. So the more I work with it, the more information I'll get. And I think that's why it's so important to follow this 260-day cycle and really like just get an understanding of all of these different things. Because for me, the more I study this kind of stuff, the more likely it is that I'm able to identify and implement what it is I see going on. Because remember, Joseph was always a dreamer. That's what got him put into slavery in the first place. Was his actual dream. His brothers was mad. He had this dream, and they literally dumped him in the they dumped him so that he would be taken into slavery. And that's what actually got him into his troubles in the first place. And so that's the thing about magic. Like, whatever it is for you is probably the thing that first you're going to get in trouble for it, right? That's the toll you have to pay to have access to that. So first you're going to get in trouble for it, but then it's going to be what saves, everyone. And that's how it's playing out. Like right now, like how much, like how irritated were people when you started calling yourself the emperor? How much did that get under people's skin?
It's funny because they couldn't say shit, but I could feel it. I could feel, yeah, I
Yeah.
could feel that people obviously were like, "Who the fuck does this?" Like, it's basically just a continuation of this guy's insane ego.
Right.
Like this guy
Right.
clearly is mentally disturbed, and those that actually have met me in person are, they were just, yeah, they just thought it was a fucking joke.
Right.
They've thought that I was a fucking joke the whole time, and this is why they've obviously done magic on me. They've
Right.
they've tried to destiny swap me. They've tried to steal my inheritance, to steal my power, because innately, intuitively, they did know that I was someone big, but consciously, like, they were not willing to admit that, even though they were trying to steal it from me,
Right.
which is like, what,
Insane.
that's psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Yes, that's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy to, it goes back to like the whole George Bush thing, where people would call him retarded while at the same time saying that he's like a
Right.
genius for everything that he did in Iraq. It's
Right.
like, what like what is he? But this is what makes the people that are actually powerful, is that it allows the powerful people to to play with the realities that people have of us,
Right.
in terms of, if someone sees me and thinks that I'm stupid, I'm not going to try to convince them that I'm smart.
Right.
I'm just going to let it be.
Right.
Oh, you think I'm stupid? Okay, well, I'll act maybe a little bit more stupid, but that's not because I'm consciously trying to manipulate. It's because we're flowing with it,
Right.
right? We're just leaning with what makes the most sense. If this person wants me to look stupid in their eyes, then I'm going to keep flowing with the energy and show them that, yeah, I am dumb.
Right.
Yeah, I am naive.
Right.
Yeah, I am slow.
Right.
Yeah, I am weak. Keep thinking that.
Right.
Keep feeding that reality, because when the real reality hits, they're on their ass.
Right. Exactly.
They don't know what hit them.
Exactly. I mean, that's how, and that's exactly what happened with Joseph. He went through all of this stuff. When reality hit his brothers, what did they do? They went to Egypt looking, begging for bread, trying to get something to eat. And then what they find? That was his brother.
Oh
They went to
shit.
they literally ended up having to go to their brother that they thought that they killed. They thought was
And beg
dead,
and beg for
and
food.
beg for food because it was
Fuck.
a famine in the land. Yep. So that's what happens. Like Joseph's story, like you get a chance like to look into it, like ask the AI about it. Joseph's story is extremely interesting. It's like, oh, okay, this is what happens. Joseph became Pharaoh. He was known as Pharaoh, second in command to Pharaoh, because he saved everybody. After he became Pharaoh, that's when his brothers came back and he saved them too.
Mm.
He forgave them. He allowed them into his house. He didn't hold their stuff against them. But
Right.
what did we say? We said he told his brother Benjamin, because Benjamin was his blood brother. He told Benjamin, look, if these niggas start acting crazy, you gonna need to just pack your family up and leave. Like, don't ignore your dreams. Don't ignore your divinations.
Benjamin
Pack
said
your
that
fam.
to Joseph?
No, Joseph said this would have had to tell this to Benjamin,
Mm,
because that's why you have the Benjaminites moving
right,
everywhere.
right,
They
right.
were gone whenever, something happened. They were already gone because somebody got the word, hey, I'm having a bad feeling about this, and they would pick up
Mm,
and move. And that's why you have the tribe of Benjamin everywhere, because they didn't wait for the rest of their, family members to start fighting them. They just said, you know what? These people about to go, like me. I didn't wait for Maryland to fall apart before I left Maryland. I was like, you know what?
I'm out.
This is dangerous for me to be here. Eventually, they're going to hunt me down, and I have to go somewhere where I don't have to be around these crazy people. And of everyone in my family, I told you my family reunions are 1,000 people. None of those people moved. I packed myself up, and I was like, I got to get out of here, and I left. Everybody else stayed, and Maryland is on the list. They have to be completely. Maryland has so many illegal immigrants in it. It's just 2 days ago. In the city where I'm from, they have an MGM hotel, and casino. A
Oh,
26
near
year
the
old.
Gaylord? Near the Gaylord? Is
Yeah,
that?
that's where I'm
Hmm.
from.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, yep. That's literally also. If you've been there,
I've been to
you've
the
been to my.
Gaylord.
Yeah, that's my hometown. I used to work at the Gaylord.
And I
Actually, I
and
was
I
a.
went I went there like I think it was like maybe it's early days. I don't know how long it's been there actually, but they had just started building like the little like city near next to the Gaylord.
Oh, you were there in the very beginning.
Yes,
Yep,
yes, yeah. Because
I
that
used
was
to
like
work there.
it felt like it was the middle of nowhere. Like it was a very kind of weird little town square thingy. Like it was
Yeah.
kind of like what are they doing? It was
Yeah, it was nothing. It's the because
so now it's more
those
populated.
yes, they've built a lot more stuff. So now they have houses there. They built up a lot more stuff. They put an MGM on that hill to get in and out, like where the Gaylord is. They put an MGM there.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it's a lot more populated. But those are ancient burial grounds for my ancestors. And so when they started building that,
Ah,
they found bones and stuff, and they just built over top of it.
wow.
Yeah, really bad. Because where I'm from is not down on that part. It's like a little bit further down the river and then up the hill. So I'm from the top of a hill. I told you I'm from the forest. All that area was forest. And
Mm.
then I'm from the top of a hill, like a top of a huge mound. So like that's like the part that I'm from. So but just the other day they had a shooting inside of the food court at the MGM
Jeez.
between a 30-year-old and a 26-year-old. And now people are saying, how did he even get into there with a gun? Question mark. Because they have metal detectors, they have police there, they have security, they got cameras, all of that. This man got in there with a gun and shot somebody, and it was somebody he knew. It was some kind of we don't really have gangs like that, but people do have beef with each other for various reasons, usually related to
Probably
drugs or
women.
girls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
girls.
drugs or girls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously one or the other, but yeah. So there was just a shooting there like 2 days
Girls.
ago. It's so much like crime now in that place where I'm from. Like even the
Mm.
street that I where my townhouse was, which is a little bit further down into the county. Um, there's a shooting on the corner of the street. Like there's so many shootings like right there where I used to live that it is incredible. So I got out before all of that violence started to really ramp up. And like I can't imagine now like even living there. It's so like insane. But again, I got the message and I got out. You can't just stay around when you're in energy like that. You have to remove your energy. But so many people are, you know, stuck in their old ways that they can't see that these different sacrifices had to be made. Like, and so I had to make that sacrifice. And a lot of people, you know, they don't understand it to this day, but I'm like, you guys will just never get it. There's nothing that I can say. There's no way I can explain it to you. If you don't get the message that tells you, "Hey, it's time to make this sacrifice." Because you're trying to hold on, like we are talking about earlier, it's so hard
Mhm.
to something that you won't make the sacrifice. This is, this does not end well for people when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, and this is the importance of being unattached. Like
Right.
this is why unconditional love, it always goes back to like it's I didn't think I mean I knew unconditional love was powerful when I began to embrace it, but it wasn't until years later when I was really into it that the conversation whenever I would talk about energy, it would always go back to love.
Right.
It would always go back to love. And in this situation is unconditional love teaches us to be unattached. And this is
Right.
so important because when we have invested so much of our energy, our attention, our time, our love, money, whatever it might be, whatever we have invested in, like it doesn't matter if you've invested $1 billion or if you invested your whole heart into it, you are unattached. You learn to be, well, at least when we embrace unconditional love, we are unattached to it,
Right.
which means that when we are called by God to leave, or to move away, or that things have changed and now you go and continue moving on your journey, just like the Benjaminites, you do it. There's no
Right.
question. There's no, oh, but God, I've been working at this company for 10 years and I'm about to get promoted. And or oh, like I've been with my boyfriend, my girlfriend for 2 years, and it's so convenient that we're both paying rent together and
Right.
splitting the bill and this and that. That's why people stay stuck in realities, timelines that don't serve them, that don't empower them, because when they were called to keep moving, they said, no, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to maintain this thing that I have built. And this is where God tests our faith. Are you going to have faith in me, or are you going to stay stuck in whatever you built? And most
Right.
people just they're willing to sacrifice themselves to stay stuck in whatever reality they have built because they're so attached to the physical. When you are unattached,
Right.
when God calls on you to do this, this, and that, it doesn't really matter what might happen next. You just know that that's what you're supposed to do. And I think
Right.
and this goes kind of with the issue with modern day magic is that modern day magic has basically usurped God by trying to convince the peasants that, hey, you can still stay stuck in your reality. Oh, you don't like the relationship that you're in, but you've invested all these years into making it happen. Well, you can use magic to stay in that relationship for longer, to, make your partner love you a little bit more. And so it's like the peasants, because they've refused to keep progressing, they've refused to keep elevating, to keep growing, use things like magic to try to make their current state of suffering be a little bit more bearable. And so what is happening now is that this whole um this whole like thing that made it more malleable for people to kind of cope with the fact that they are in a misaligned state, which was magic, has now broken apart. It's shattered.
Right.
They
Right.
can't use it anymore. Whether it's to
Right.
control, whether it's to love, whether it's for abundance, for beauty, whatever the fuck it is that they were doing, it's shattered. 1111. It's completely shattered, and because it has shattered, this is where it's the come to Jesus moment because everything
Right.
then now collapses and they have to face exactly who they are and what they have built, and there is no coping anymore.
Right. There's no way. No, there's no sympathy. No one has any sympathy for anyone. It's weird to see that actually, but there's no way to cope.
Yeah, it's crazy. No sympathy. Like what are that's just because yeah, and it's like the no sympathy in terms of it's like it's like a get to work, get to like what you know,
Right.
it's like because the thing is in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that difficult. Like it's really not this hugely like loving oneself. It's not this traumatic, insane, most hard enduring thing that we can do. Now, are there going to be challenges? Are there going to be difficulties? Of course, anything worth something, like there's going to be work that has to be put in. But like it's I think through that magic that used to be in the past, like it convinced humans that doing the work to align ourselves to God was like this such a treacherous and insanely difficult thing. And was it difficult in my reality? Yes, it was very difficult. But even looking back, I'm like, that wasn't really actually that difficult. I mean,
Right.
yes, when I was in it, I was going through it. But now looking back, I look at it very fondly. I'm like, yeah, I did that. And if I had to do it again, I would do it again and again and again and again and again because I serve God. It's not that like, oh, I wish it was easier for me and this. No, because I had to go through all of those journeys in order to be where I'm at. I can't negate that. Can't I can't look at that and say, oh, I could have done it differently or this and that in terms of kind of how I went about it. But
Right.
regardless with all of this is that like all of the illusions have just completely shattered. And I think this is why the color is brown because like when the water picks up all that sand residue goes up
Right.
and so it gets
Right.
brown. It gets brown. The whole
Right.
water is brown. And so
Right. And next year
everything
it's
has
going to be
shook.
white
Right,
because the
everything
color
has
next year is
shooken up.
white.
Everything has shaken up, and then now it's slowly coming back down. Like, all
Right.
the sand is coming back down, and then it's gonna be clear, and the clarity is everyone's gonna be naked. Everyone is going to
Right.
be completely naked. You're going to see every human being and know exactly who they are, what they're about, where they're from, what are they doing, what are they thinking about you. This like, it's and the thing is, I'm already seeing I went to an awards ceremony yesterday. Man, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 people.
Uh-huh.
I was the main celebrity. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
it was probably the first time that I've been in a group of so many people in like at least like a year and a half.
Oh
It
wow.
was it was like everywhere it doesn't matter if I was in the corner, it doesn't matter if I was like talking to someone, like it was like there was like lights just on me the whole time and people were just like it was I could sense if I really wanted to, I didn't, but if I really wanted to, I could sense what everybody was thinking of me, what everybody was saying of me. People were wondering, who is this thing? What is
Oh
this thing?
no. That's really not helpful because I got a birthday party to go to next weekend and I have a feeling it's
Yeah,
going to be the same
yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah,
There's going to be a lot of people.
you're gonna be center of it. I mean, it's just this. You know, the thing is, it's always been this way. It's just now, it's not in a trying to destroy, aka just subtle, like energetic attacks. Now it's a I am in awe. What are you? You know,
Right.
like is there can we connect? Like, is there a way that I could like stay in touch with you? And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what you experience because I could almost guarantee you're gonna be like you're gonna it's not even your party, but it's gonna be like it's your party, right? It's
Right. Right.
like
Which I wanted a
it's
birthday party, right? But I didn't have one because I just I couldn't pull it together. Like it was very like underwhelming. So my one of my best friends is turning 40 and this is his party. So it's like, yeah, 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what's gonna happen. It's gonna turn into our party, which is fine with me.
uh-huh. Yeah, even better.
But it's still gonna be
Awesome.
weird. So it's still gonna be weird
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna
because
take time to get used to it.
it's very unusual going. I mean, I'm used to it. Like that's not going to be
Right,
the
right,
weird part.
right.
The weird part is going to be like people. It's always weird when people know you and they know like how you
Mm.
behave and you still get into a room and you surprise them. Like
Yeah, they're like, "I don't
He's
even
not
do
gonna
I
be
even know you?"
surprised.
They're like, "Do I
Right.
even know you?"
He's
But
not
I
gonna be
think he will.
surprised
I
that
think
like
he will. I think he
no,
will be.
he's a Sagittarius. He's not him. I'm talking about like his wife. Like she doesn't like know me like that. She's the one planning this party. So she think, okay, she invites me and that's nice and all. But at their wedding, I just it's very bad. Like I just have this bad habit of going into stage mode and I don't turn it off. Like I'm just like the center of attention. So she's pretty upset at me at her wedding. So I'm surprised that she invited me at all, but it's like she have to because she knows that's my best friend. So like it's just one of those things where I'm more like, I don't want to upstage her, but I know that there's no way that I could.
Yeah, no,
Like
you're I mean, it's like if Trump was the honorary guest at a birthday party, right? Like, yeah,
right,
it's that other
right.
person's birthday party, but shit, it's Donald Trump. Oh,
Oh my
like,
gosh, do you
wow,
know they
thank
were
you for
talking about that today?
what?
He got an award from FIFA and they played like the music that he likes and people were like I'm looking at the comments, people were really, especially black people, were really upset that they're like, oh, they just gave him a bar mitzvah. Like that's what they said because they acted like it was
Interesting.
his party, but they gave him this award, so they brought him on the stage and they let him pick the FIFA, World Cup
Right.
thing, whatever. I
Yeah,
don't
they
know
know him
anything
well.
about.
They know him well. They know
Yeah.
how to,
Yeah, they
make him feel
played
like
to
the
his
king.
thing and
Uh-huh.
people were upset. They're like, why would they do that for him? This and that. And this is their first ever like peace award they gave out because of what the Nobel Peace Prize did
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
giving it to somebody else, which was again just a bunch of politics. But you see that like this whole coalescing
Well, also,
around
wasn't it Venezuela? Then wasn't it the Venezuelan lady
Yes, it
that
was
got the
either Venezuela or Honduras. I can't
okay.
remember which one. It was one of them, like the opposition leader. So the Nobel Peace Prize was trying to play up on that, and so
Uh-huh.
and now Trump is like tripling, quadrupling down on this whole peace thing, which is again they
Yes.
never
Good.
wanted
Good.
peace. If they had, if there's peace on this land, it doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the world, they will calm down. Again, the
Mm-hmm.
Trojan horse is
Right.
to bring violence onto this land
Right.
specifically.
Right.
If they can get violence on this land, they can get violence on other lands. So that's really what this
And
whole thing is about.
this is why the whole taking out Venezuela is important. This is why we got to put
Right.
order in Mexico. Like it because it's
Right.
not just the US, it's the Americas themselves. Now, obviously the
Right.
US
Exactly.
is like the nexus, but it's like if, how can we be America if we don't have order in South America, in Central
Exactly. We
America?
can't. Well, because again, South America, the red bird of the South, is the red castle of turning. How can we turn over a new leaf if you have all of this bloodshed on the red lands?
Mm.
So that's what it's about. It's
Oh,
about bringing,
wow.
it's restoring the order, like the natural order, the way things are supposed to be. Like it is being restored, whether they like it or not, because it's not up to them to decide that, oh, South America is going to be at war. It's not up to y'all. Y'all don't get to do that cuz again, South America has the same problem that America has. The race warriors from Europe came into South America and started wrecking havoc. It had the same exact problem. Except when they came
Mm.
here, we vetted them. So the ones who were wrong, we killed them. But in South America, they didn't kill them as quickly as we did. Anytime, because that's why they say that America was uninhabited because those people didn't come here. When they come here, because we did magic here, we did the real land magic. So when they came here off their hocus pocus, whatever weird Middle Eastern magic that they were practicing, we wiped them out. There's lots of Indian wars here, but they weren't wars, they were genocides, getting rid of these people who were coming with bad intentions. They didn't really do that in South America. They kind of let them just migrate into their populations because in South America there was more migration in general. Because people were sneaking around into South America from that Bering Strait and then coming straight down. They weren't stopping in the Americas. They kept going. I mean, in North America, basically, they kept going. So that's why it's important for South America to be totally restored. It's the turning. Now you can't get a fourth
Mm.
turning without South America turning over a new leaf. It's required.
So this is so can you name the four again?
So there's the red bird of the south, the white tiger of the west, and it's really not white, it's yellow. That's another, I'll work on that later. There's the black tortoise of the north, and then the blue dragon of the east. So the west in this case is like the I've been battling on where I think the West is, but I think it's the west part of Europe, the western part of Europe. So like Italy, Great Britain, that part of that western part of Europe. Because I
Mhm.
have a picture that has the four corners of the earth, and the four corners are basically South America, a little corner of North America, and there's a big like space that's missing. So it's not talking about those areas. It's kind of talking about those areas, but not in its entirety. It's a really weird thing because of how I actually think the continents were closer together than they are right now.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's really hard to envision what this looks like. I really need to put it onto a globe, like a 3D like globe, so that I can mark out the latitude and the longitude and see what it looks like that. Because it's really difficult to tell from a flat map. And I don't have a globe. So that's another thing on my list. Like when I move, like I need to get a globe so that I can actually look at this, or an armillary sphere set would be better, but I'm gonna have to get something so I can actually look at these things from a 3D perspective, because the maps are not right. So it's really hard to tell like anything from a map when the maps are not drawn properly. Like they make Greenland way bigger than Greenland is, and they make Russia look way smaller than it is, and they make Africa look way smaller than it is, and they make South America look shorter, because the bottom part of South America is way closer to Antarctica than they say. I don't know if it's walking distance like the Bering Strait, if there's like a land bridge that connects South America to Antarctica, but it could in fact be a land bridge, which would change everything too. There's just with the way that they do the maps, we can't really tell. So that's another thing that have to be done, because all of this stuff is in 2D. And once you put it into 3D, you see something totally different.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. So if I was to like put this, I could research it, right? In terms of the bird,
Yeah,
like
the
what these all
yeah.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah, bird of the south. Yeah, the black tortoise of the north. We know the only reason why we know that the black tortoise of the north is North, like specifically North America, is because this was called Turtle Island. So we that's how we know that. The rest of them, I mean, it's the dragon. It's a blue dragon, so it's got to be Asia.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's and the white tiger, I actually think it's Russia, but that would flip the whole, like I would have to flip my whole thing. And then if the white tiger of the north is Russia, related to the Serbians and all of that stuff, because that's where they have white tigers, then that means Europe, Africa, and all of that Western Europe isn't even on the map. It's a non-factor. That would be the land of Ham, which is what I think. Like I think that, but I don't have enough. The maps are
Land
not
of
drawn
Ham?
in such a. Yeah, we talked about this the other day. The curse. Noah had three sons: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the one whose son was Canaan, and Noah cursed Canaan because Ham uncovered his nakedness, which basically means I think he raped him. Like I don't know how to describe that. They won't say what it is, what that means, but they have it in the Bible as he uncovered his nakedness. And then he went out
Ham
and
did.
told Ham did, yeah. So he
So
cursed
why
his son.
why would Noah curse Canaan?
I don't know. There's not enough
Mm,
information in the story. So I have some other versions of that to read, but again, I don't have time. Like I haven't gotten into that yet.
right.
But it doesn't make the way that the story is told in the Bible doesn't make sense. They have a longer version in the book of Jasher, but still it doesn't quite it's still missing the what actually happened and then why curse Canaan instead of cursing Ham. Like
Right.
he probably didn't curse his son because it was his son, you know. But then you cursed your son's son. Like, so did Ham really do it, or did Canaan really do it? I don't know. It's like a secret. It's a secret, and I haven't quite. I've been studying it for on and off for 3 years, and I still don't have any good answer. But but um the land of Ham is cursed, basically, is the reason why I'm saying it. Like, it's cursed land. And so if that whole area, which would be all of Eastern Europe, the Middle East, all the way to you get to the Eurasian Peninsula, if all of that is cursed, holy smokes. And also the 13 colonies. I'm sorry, just to add on there, that would include the 13 colonies, because in my map, the most of the 13 colonies are included in the four corners of the earth, and then everything else is included. So what I'm saying is, if it is that everything else is the real, like what this red bird of the north, white tiger of the west, black tortoise of the north, I mean red bird of the south, I'm sorry, white tiger of the west, black tortoise of the north, and blue dragon of the east is related to, if that's like the real land that rules over this chart, then those cursed lands are. And I just saw somebody say like Europe is going to cease to exist the way that it is because of the migration and all the stuff that they're doing. So it could just play out that what I'm saying is proven by the fact that it shows up. Oh, something else I wanted to mention, I just saw that today they released the 911 tapes from that thing, that Camp Mystic thing in Texas today. So I told you that thing was going to be brought back up
Yeah,
because of the
right, right.
Gemini new moon. And
Wow.
here it is, like they released the 911 tapes, and they say it's really, really difficult to listen to. It's really horrible.
So what was it about?
Um,
Just people calling
no,
for help?
all the people who called 911. That's 911 tapes.
Why is
I
it being
can't listen to
released?
them because the media requested it. It's a FOIA request. They have to release the tapes
But
because
like,
the media needs to report on it. The only way the media can report on it is if they have the tapes.
so
Because
when you said it was going to be brought up, what was your reasoning?
because of the Gemini full moon. We just had the Gemini full moon 2 days yesterday. I'm sorry. The Gemini
Mm,
full moon was yesterday. So I had said before the end of the year, that situation happened with the Gemini new moon. And that situation was not resolved. It wasn't
wow.
resolved because they basically just brushed it under the carpet and didn't talk about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now, with the 911 tape being released, they're going to have to talk about it. So just
Wow.
a proof that a prediction that I made was accurate, because sometimes if I don't say it, no one will say it, because
Uh-huh.
no one's following this stuff like I am. But I just couldn't believe that. I was like, wow, they really getting ready to, because when people call 911, they give a lot of information. They tell you who, why, where, when. They tell you all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, what they're wearing,
Right.
what they wore
What they saw.
yesterday.
Yeah, what they saw. Like, oh, I saw a little girl floating down the river naked. Well, why would she be naked? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that's what's on there. I'm
Right.
just saying, like, that's the kind of things they would say. They give you the raw, uncut, like, that's why people want the body cam footage of things and stuff like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
raw, it's uncut, it's exactly what happened. And so something is going to be anyway, any number of things could be exposed as a result of that, but it's not going to be good. But that situation has to be resolved. So that's just proof that it's going to be resolved. It's going to be resolved. They don't have a choice.
Well, that's good.
It is. It is. So think that's enough.
Yeah, yeah, I think this was good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to the continuation of what you've discovered because it's a big deal for sure. And I think the whole castle thing is fascinating and um
The
like
fact that it's spinning um is I don't the implications of that cannot be um cannot be emphasized enough, like, because people think that time is static. And so if I'm saying no, it's spinning, that changes a lot of things. That is not like inconsequential.
what is spinning?
Time is spinning. It's not static. When you do because
Oh,
when you do
right, right, right,
ceremonial
right, right.
magic, it's static. It's every day at X time, X planet is active. Every day at Y time, Y
Yeah.
planet is active. And what I'm saying is, with this Mayan calendar, it's not static, it's spinning, it's moving. And if it's moving, if there's motion, that makes ceremonial magic invalid. Like, we already canceled it, but it
Mm,
invalidates it entirely because
right.
things are moving, it's in motion. Ceremonial magic only works when things are not in motion. It only works on things that are standing still. This is exactly what you said. You said that, um, or what I would say is the ceremonial magic works on people who are moving in the past or they're moving in the future, right? But if
Mhm.
you're in the present, it doesn't really work on you. Like, magic doesn't work on you if you this unconditional love is the present moment. And so what I'm saying with this calendar is, with the way that I have reorganized it, it's moving. So you're in the present moment. You can't get into the future because the future is not in order. It's not in order, it's spinning. So there's no way to you can't pin it down to this is this first, this second, this third. It doesn't work like that. It's in motion. So if it's in motion, let's okay, so ceremonial magic only works on people when they're static, when they're standing still. But if you're in motion, moving in this cycle inside your castle, how are they going to get to you?
Mhm.
There's no
And
way.
yeah, and this is why, like, it's very important to be high vibrational because when you're low vibrational, you're dense. You're basically stuck. You get
Right.
stuck, you get attached, like,
Well,
you get
I think it's a little more complicated, or it's more nuanced than that. You can't just be high vibrational and only be high vibrational. The ideal thing is to, again, oscillate between full expansion into your high vibration and full contraction into low vibration. It is static when you stay only high vibrational all the time. That's not good. You really have to go from extreme to extreme, which is not like how anybody, again, this is extreme what I'm saying. Like, people don't think like this. Like, you have to be extreme, like, go to the extreme height of good and the extreme depth of the bad. And you really want to go back and forth between the extremes. That's what a because I can be extremely happy about something one minute, but then in another minute I could be extremely angry about something so much that I want to do something about it, which will take me back into the extreme happiness. You really have to go back and forth. You can't negate the emotions that go along with oscillating between extremes. And that's what people want to do. When people get into high vibration, it's like good, good, everything good. That is not actually healthy. It's much more healthy to go to the extremes. And it's counterintuitive because they tell you that's bad, but it's really not. Like, it's like, if I'm upset, I'm going to be the fullest of that upset. I'm not going to say, "Oh, I'm not a," that's why, like you say, unconditional love. I would not phrase it like that myself, because that is not the fullness of what I see. I see it as not unconditional, but fully conditional. Meaning, the condition is, if you are doing good, I'm fully in there with you doing the good. If you're doing wickedness, I'm down there in the dirt rolling around with you with your wickedness. Like I would call that fully conditional, because that's what Jesus did. He was fully conditional. If someone came to him and they were high vibrational, he got up there with them on their high vibrational. When those Pharisees and those Sadducees came to him and they were low vibrational, he got right down in the dirt with them. He was rolling
Mm,
around in the dirt with them for real. And they didn't like that because they expected him to do like what you said. Oh, unconditional love. No. My love is fully conditional. If you having a good day, I'm having a good day with you. If you having a bad day, I'm getting down and having a bad day with you. Because I sympathize enough with people to be able to go to the extremes. But I also don't think you can do that until you get into the 36 time, because I don't think people under 36 should do that. I think what you're saying is right. Under 36, you need to be high vibrational all the time. But once you get 36, you got to be able to go back and forth. Like you spend your time 236 learning how each energy works so that when you turn 36, you can go back and forth. You can go like what is it? Persephone, 6 months in the light, 6 months in the dark. You can't really do that before 36. You don't have a concept for that. But after you turn 36 and the energy speeds up, meaning I'm dealing with every 36 days, I have a new energy assigned to me every 36 days. Like you don't have that right now. So you can't like you can conceptualize what I'm saying, but you can't experience it. But once you hit 36, you're gonna see what I mean.
yeah,
And it's not
right.
like you can't, like, there's no way you can really, you can see it from me. And it's my job as the mother in the maiden mother crone to display how to do this in the most healthy way possible. Because when it is time for you to get into this energy, you'll be able to handle it. Because the energy moves too fast for me to be high vibrational all the time. Because some days, some months, it's very difficult energy. And that's energy that I have to experience because it's assigned to me. I have to integrate it. So that means I have to get down in the dirt. If I have if I have dirty energy, I'm going to pretend the energy is clean when it's dirty. Nah, I'm going to deal with the dirty energy right where it is, learn the lesson so that I can move back into my natural state, which would be going back and forth depending on, you have more people that you interact with when you get in this age group, like kids and stuff like that. You got to be able to also mirror to them, or reflect back to them. A mirror was the right word. Reflect back to them what is going on so that when they get to this age, they will know how to handle it. And I would say, like, I didn't have a good example of this. And so it's much harder. I'm having a much more difficult time learning this, because I didn't have an example of it. But you're not going to have a problem at all. You'll be able to you'll be like, oh, that's what she meant. Oh, I get it now. But yeah, no, right. Under 36, high vibration is it. You don't want to be in that's what those witches, all those TikTok witches and the beat girl and all of that, they're in very low vibrational energy. That is not good. Extremely low vibrational energy. That's not healthy.
Right, right. Yeah, makes
Not.
sense.
Yeah, it's very complicated. It's simple, but it's a new way of thinking. This is literally a new world we are creating, we are building, we're going into, and there's hard and fast lines. And it's for the protection of everyone. Like people who aren't 36 should not be going back and forth into the underworld. Remember I told you one of the other times, if you're not 36, you should have not have a dark night of the soul. Like that's very dangerous. To have a dark night of the soul before you turn 36. Extremely dangerous. I do not recommend that. But you have these spiritual people out here telling everybody, "Oh, you're going to have a dark night of the soul." Well, how old are you? Like what's your age? You're 18 with a dark night of the soul? No, I'm sorry, honey. You do not need a dark night of the soul. You need to just be in high vibrational energy and learn the
Yeah,
lessons, but be in high
go
vibration.
back to daycare.
Yeah, yeah, but not daycare. That's mean. No, just learn the lessons and be who you are and feel all the emotions, because that's really what it is. Like, you want to feel all the emotions right now, and you can feel all the emotions when you're in high vibrational energy. When you're in low vibrational energy, you're actually not feeling all the emotions in the same way. You are managing the emotions, and that's where a lot of young people get messed up. They're trying to manage their emotions when they're supposed to be feeling them. And so with older people, that's what I have to like work with them on. They never felt all the emotions. So what most of what I do, because I'm not really an emotional person, is I'm telling them, go back and feel the emotions. Now, what those emotions are, I can't tell you. You have to feel those for yourself, because I'm not really an emotional person. I have a lot of emotions, but I don't get I don't know. I'm not an emotional person like that. So I have to tell them, go back and feel all the emotions, because that's what they missed from their youth. Especially ones who have a lot of trauma. They didn't experience all the emotions. There's some that they missed. So it's really like that's how you rehabilitate a lot of people. You actually help them learn how to feel all the emotions. And once they can do that, they can get into high functioning. Alignment just means whatever is assigned to you, again, whatever your inheritance is, that's what you have access to. And so that's kind of like the difference. And I feel like as the in the mother energy, I am like always navigating between people who need to just be in a high vibration. So I'm trying to keep them in a high vibration, and people who need to learn how to do both. And I'm trying to help them understand that they're not doing both. Because a lot of older people, they don't understand that they're actually not doing both. They're only in high vibration, or they're only in low vibration. They're really not going back and forth. So when you're in this mother energy, that's when you really start to see the difference between, again, like someone like you who's in this high vibrational energy, and then someone like my friend who's kind of like now starting to learn how to go back and forth. And it's very interesting to see. I mean, it's very, very interesting. I'm glad I'm able to view it and observe it, because I know it's going to be really, really helpful moving forward. Because there's a lot of people, again, like you, who need to be in high vibration, but there's a lot of older people, since I usually work with older people, who really have to learn the difference. And when I say they don't know, they don't know. I could point it out till
Yeah,
I'm
the
blue
thing
in the
is,
face.
what I will say though is, like, I don't think that there are many people actually in a high vibration. Because if they
Right,
were actually in a high vibration, they would be very powerful. I think what
right.
the level is, and obviously these terms are not they're not great terms, but
No,
they
they're
just
not.
help to, make us at least get a sense of what it is that we're talking about. But
Right.
it's low vibrational and like coping. Like
Yes.
it's either you are feeling these either people are feeling these low vibrational energies, or they are coping themselves into thinking that, hey, everything is okay, everything is
Right.
good, I'm doing well, I'm doing this. But to actually feel high vibrational, that's the work
Right.
that needs to be done, which is obviously most people. I mean, and this is the issue with these spiritualists. These
Right.
spiritualists, if they were actually not full of shit, they would have been able to reach this high vibrational state.
Right.
And as a result of reaching this high vibrational state, it would have allowed them to, as you said, oscillate between the two,
Right.
which is this is the
Well, they think they are in the highest vibration they have access to. That's the real issue. They don't even know what high vibrational is, because they are in the highest vibration they have access to. They have not done the work to open up new levels of access. So they are in high vibration, the highest one they have access to.
yes,
But
okay,
it's
right.
it's just not the highest one available. They think it's the highest one available. So when someone like me or you comes along, they get hurt. They get butt hurt. Because they're
Yeah,
like, wait a minute, they're on a higher level than me. Well,
right,
yeah, you capped your knowledge. You capped your energy
right,
by
right.
working with these weird gods. Like, why are you working with these entities? Why are you doing this weird magic? Yeah, you capped yourself. And then when they don't want to hear that though, they won't, oh well, what do you mean I capped myself? Like, I can clearly tell your energy is capped. Like, you probably should do something about that. and they don't want to hear that either. I'm not very nice about it, especially not to other spiritualists. Like, they should know better. Like, if you can't like read like the story of Jesus and see two different versions of Jesus occurring at the same time, I mean, I already know your level is very low. There's literally at least two different stories being told. Sometimes I can see like 5 or 6 different stories depending on who is the audience, and also like as it relates to other stories in the Bible. There could be like 10 different versions of Jesus out there. Like, I made a comment to my friend earlier. She was like, because apparently on TikTok now they're talking again about how Jesus and Mary Magdalene had a baby. And I was like, well, that could be true, because the people who think Jesus died on the cross could have took his members and artificially inseminated whoever they're calling Mary Magdalene, and she could have had a baby 100%. But remember, I always say Jesus didn't die on the cross. He gave up the spirit, and his body was not left for them to take. And so, but there is a version of Jesus that did die on the cross, and they did take his body. So, because they made that story up right when he died, there's literally two different stories being told at one time. So it really depends on your vibration if you can even tell that those are two different simultaneously stories being told at one time. Or like, a lot of Jesus parables can be taken more than one way. It depends on what your vibration is, if you can see it for the positive or if you can see it for the negative. Like, the Bible is a multi-dimensional book in general. Like, if a spiritualist, because spiritualists use the Bible, if the spiritualist cannot tell that the Bible is multi-dimensional, and they say that the Bible is all negative basically, and they look at the Bible as an evil book, then those people are not vibrating at the highest frequency available. They might be vibrating at the highest frequency they have access to, which is the frequency of questioning. Like, you have to question your reality, you have to interrogate your reality, which is a pretty high vibration. But like you said, the higher vibration would be acceptance. I have accepted the fact that there's multiple versions of Jesus, and depends on your frequency which one you're dealing with.
Okay,
A lot
right.
of people, they have not accepted that there's multiple versions of Jesus. There's multiple versions of his mythology told in multiple different ways. Like I said, Jesus was King Arthur. Jesus is also the Fairy King. Like, that's two other totally different versions that's found in two totally different places, that if you don't have a high vibration, you can't even begin to see that. I just saw somebody made an article, I'm going to go read it, about it was a video about Jesus, Merlin, and Moses having to deal with Mercury. I was like, well, now Merlin, that's a very interesting one. I hadn't put Merlin with Moses because Merlin was Lazarus. So I haven't put Merlin with Moses yet. But I'm about to listen to this video. That's a person who's on a very high vibration. She's also much older than me, so it would make sense. But she's on a very high vibration to be able to make that kind of connection together. She does channeling too, which for some people is very helpful, especially women, to channel in a higher vibration that will help them get up to that vibration, as long as they're doing the inner work to go along with it. But this is a whole nother topic.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I couldn't help it. I'm like, man, I got to get all this stuff in while I'm thinking about it. It'll be gone.
Yeah, this was great. This was yeah, the calendar is definitely moving very well, and it's good to see that reality is really bending to our will. I mean, it's happening in real time, and to think that this is just the beginning is a very humbling and beautiful experience.
Yep, it's incredible. It's incredible. So we'll talk again on Tuesday about something. I'm
Okay.
sure something will come up.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. We'll stay in touch and hope you have an amazing weekend.
All right, you too.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.